Good afternoon. I'm sorry we're late. We were tied up this morning. We finished very late. Please turn off your cell phones or use the etiquette feature. Today's hearing is being audio and video recorded. In accordance with Section 45 and 53 of the Planning Act, this meeting of the Committee of Adjustments for the City of Toronto is called to order. The committee considers applications for minor variances, permission to extend or alter lawful non-conforming uses, and consent to create new jobs. I'm going to vet the agenda for the 1:30 hearing. And so I'm going to call each item on the agenda, and I want to have the applicant identify himself and then any opposition. If there are people in opposition, we'll hold the matter. You can go out in the hall and try and resolve the issues or some of the issues. And so we'll first deal with the non-contested matters, and then we'll deal with the matters that are opposed. If we have opposition and there's several people, we're going to ask you to appoint a spokesperson. If there's more than one spokesperson, we're going to cut down the time. Usually we give you each person speaking 5 minutes, but if there's more than one spokesperson for the opposition, we're going to cut their time down because we have a heavy agenda today. So when you're called, come forward, hand in your decision request card to the committee staff seated on my right. Go to the podium, clearly state your name and your address. If you read from a written submission, hand it to the Deputy Secretary Treasurer when you're done. As I said, you will have 5 minutes to present your case. Then the opposition will speak. They will each have 5 minutes, subject to more than one spokesperson. As committee members, we may be asking you questions at the end of your submission. We will then, after your submissions and after all questions, we will then take the matter into committee for decision, which marks the end of all discussion. If you don't agree with our decision, you can file an appeal. Appeals go to the Toronto Local Appeal Body, or TEY. For more information about TEY, visit their website or the Committee of Adjustments website. Appeal instructions are included at the bottom of every decision. To receive a copy of our decision and be informed of the committee's of the appeal proceedings, you must fill out a decision request card, include your email address, and hand it in to staff on the right. Are there any declarations of interest on the 1:30 list? No. Okay. All right. I'm going to proceed now to vet the 1:30 list. Number 20, 240 Queensdale Avenue. Applicant? Yes. 240 Queensdale, yes. You're the applicant? All right. Any opposition? Okay, number 21, 120 Curzon Street, applicant, yes. Any opposition? Number 22, 115 Waverly Rd, any opposition? Number 23, 667 Richmond Street West, yes. Any opposition? Yes. Yes, okay, we're going to hold number 23 down. You can go out in the lobby and see if you can resolve the issues. Number 2462 Maclean Avenue. Any opposition? No. Number 25 164 Dayton Avenue. Applicant? Yes. Any opposition? Number 26 1227 Dundas Street West. Applicant? Yes. Any opposition? No. Thank you. Number 27, 168 Heward Avenue. Yes. Any opposition? Number 28, 257 Sammon Avenue. Applicant, any opposition? Yes. Yes? Okay, we're going to hold that one down. You can go out in the lobby and see if you can resolve your issues. Number 29, 38 Boulton Avenue. Yes, any opposition? Okay. We'll start off with number 20. Oops. 240 Queensdale Avenue. The purpose of this application is to alter the existing two-story detached dwelling by constructing a third-story addition and enclosing a portion of the front porch. We have before us material submitted by the applicant as a report from planning and 9 form letters in support. Your name, please.
Good afternoon. My name is Heather Asquith.
Yes. Okay. Do we need okay, can you tell us why the height is 9.5 meters?
We're asking for a height of 9.5 meters to allow for adequate headroom in a third-story addition to the existing two-story house. The addition is a partial third story. It doesn't start at the front of the house. We're maintaining the existing sloped roof at the front and the existing porch, part of which will be enclosed.
Mr. Chair, there's a condition of approval from planning with respect to the third floor height, so I guess to make sure you don't
Yes.
do the whole third floor at that height. So they're asking to be built substantially in accordance with the plans on file, certain elevations, as set out in the recommendation. So I think that deals with that. And if there's no further questions, I'm prepared to make a motion of approval subject to the planning condition.
Second the motion.
All in favor? You have your approvals. Thank you.
Thank you.
Number 21, 120 Curzon Street. Purpose of this application is to alter the existing 2.5-story semi-detached dwelling by enclosing the front porch. We have before us material submitted by the applicant, a letter of support from 1440 Dundas East. Do we have, are there any questions, or can we move to a motion? I think we need to.
Give us his name, I guess.
Yeah.
Justin Hanna.
Okay.
I've just one question. The drawings are not very helpful to understand. Did you submit these photographs?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so that you're already underway with the enclosure?
Yes, I was underway last summer under inaccurate information that I did not require this, so I did receive a stop work order.
So the proposal is to actually continue with what you've done here. The only impact on the property, because it's a semi, I believe, is, as shown in here, you're not affecting anything else, just the surround around the garage.
That's correct.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions? Mr. Chairman, I think this is a very small and straightforward application. I'd like to move approval. I think it clearly meets the test for variance approval.
I'll second that motion.
All in favor? You have your approval, sir. Thank you. Number 22, 115 Waverly Road. Purpose of this application is to legalize and maintain the attic space in the 2-story detached dwelling, which was converted into living space without proper authorization. We have before us material submitted by the applicant, correspondence in support from 119 Waverly, and 5 form letters in support. We have opposition from 117 Waverly. All right. Your name, sir?
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair. My name is Adam Brander. My address is 49 Boulton Avenue.
Okay. Do we have any questions for Mr.
I have one
President?
question. My understanding is that you just want to make the attic space habitable, but one of the objections talks about all this construction equipment that's on their property and your property and your backhoes and what is all that for? If you're just going to make the space on the roof habitable, is this another project, or?
Yeah, the project began as of right application. So there was a revision to that application late last year to replace the roof. So there's existing construction going on, which is unrelated to this committee application.
Okay.
Taking out the basement.
Yeah. Mr. Chairman, if there are no other questions, I'd like to move approval of the application. I think it's very straightforward, excuse me, and it appears desirable for the neighborhood and the community, and clearly meets the test for variance.
Okay, and I'll second that on the basis the neighbor at 117 was just complaining about construction issues, which are not before us. We deal with planning issues, and they don't seem to have any objection. You're just basically building within the, there's no new dormers being proposed, it's just using the attic space as living space. So I'll second that.
All in favor? You have your approval, sir. Thank you. Number 24, 62 Maclean Avenue. Purpose of this application is to alter the existing two-story semi-detached dwelling by constructing a rear two-story addition with a ground floor deck. Before us in this application, we have material submitted by the applicant and a correspondence in interest from 60 Maclean.
And it's a report from planning. Is this Richmond? Is there the wrong one? Sorry. I don't think there's, I'm on the wrong one.
Neighbor.
Okay, floor space index. Sorry, do you have any questions?
Address?
Your name, sir?
Andy Trotter, 62 Maclean, agent designer.
Okay, Mr. Trotter, what's the existing floor space index? You're looking to go to 1.06 times the area lot, whereas 0.69 is permitted. I assume are you over, and how big is this two-story addition?
The existing, sorry, this is so small here. The existing FSI is 0.85. So, and I have a letter of support from 58 Maclean.
Could you bring it up? We'll just read it into the record. Is 58 not the other half of the semi?
No, 60 is the other half. 58 is the neighbor on the other side. I have, so they're asking for 12 additional feet, 2 stories. And in that neighborhood, all of these places dotted are at 100% FSI to 1.5, some as high as 1.74. So it's common in that neighborhood to get to many. I didn't even put in are in the 90s, like high 90s. So it's common in that neighborhood to get there. There's no other variances, no height, length, setbacks. I mean, they're asking for the one variance of
Yeah, there are other variances.
the thing, and the neighbor 60, most of their concerns were really construction related, as far as they weren't really, I would say, bylaw related concerns.
Not really. Again, it's a 12-foot wall they're talking about. They're not talking about, unless the last application they were talking about construction. This one they are actually talking about, but it is only a 12-foot addition.
Yeah, it's 12 feet, yeah.
So it'll go beyond, right now the house line up and it'll go 12 feet from.
Yeah, and I did discuss with them also the potential of creating the same addition on their house. Like we had quite a few discussions on this, and there was at one time a consideration that we would try to do the addition together. That is a thinking in their mind that they themselves may, because 58 also she came to committee to extend her back too. So they were thinking, well, if 58's going to extend, and she's already won at committee, but she hasn't had the money to do the permit. They were thinking maybe they would.
Similar also 12 feet back?
Yes, yeah.
I
But
think it's pretty modest. I'm looking, it's a bedroom with pretty modest size and then a sitting room on the ground floor.
yeah.
So I think this is pretty minor, and if there's no further questions, I'll make a motion to approve the application. I believe it meets the 4 tests.
Second motion.
All right, just before we vote, we have a letter of support from 58 Maclean Avenue. And all in favor of the motion? You have your approval, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thanks.
Number 25, 164 Dayton Avenue. The purpose of this application is to legalize and maintain the front porch enclosure that was constructed without a building permit. Before us on this application, we have a plan, the material submitted by the applicant, and a letter in support from 162 Drayton.
Good afternoon, committee members, Mr. Chair. I'm Graham Baird of 22 Close Avenue, agent for the owners.
Mr. Barrett, I just have one question. How does the setback of your porch compare to the setbacks of other properties? I noticed the properties on either side of you, on the north and on the south, have a much larger setback by virtue of the fact that they either don't have a porch or the porch is already enclosed. And I'm referring to your site plan. It seems to project a lot further into the street yard. I'm wondering, are there other properties in proximity that have that same kind of intrusion into the street yard?
That's a photo of the existing porch, and you can see the neighboring porch to the south looks to be in approximately the same location. It is.
So the site plan drawing can't be correct.
No, the site plan doesn't show the neighboring porch.
Yeah, okay.
There are quite a few other examples of enclosed porches up and down this.
Okay, that was my assessment as well, but I couldn't understand the site plan. Fair enough.
I'd also like to note the owner spoke to his other adjacent neighbor, and we have a letter of support as well from 166 Drayton.
Okay, would you bring it up, please? We'll put it into the record.
Apologies for the poor quality scan.
Okay. We have a letter from 166 Drayton in support. Right, do we have a motion, or do we have any further questions?
Mr. Chairman, if there are no further questions, I'd like to move approval of the application. I think it's minor. In addition, we have support from the neighbors on either side.
Second. All in favor? You have your approvals.
Thank you.
Number 26, 1227 Dundas Street West. Purpose of this application is to alter a two-story mixed-use building by constructing a third-floor addition. Before us, we have material submitted by the applicant and a staff report from right-of-way management. Your name, sir?
It's Jordan Monahan, property owner.
Yes. Okay. Do we have any questions of Mr. Monahan?
Sir, have you seen the Transportation Services memo? They say they have no objection to the application condition. They want you to, substandard parking spots are no longer permitted. The applicant must restore the curb cut to full face curb at no cost to the city. Did you receive a copy of this?
No, I did not.
No? It's only dated the 25th.
So they like to suspend the two boulevard spots, is what you're saying?
No, they want you to restore the curb cut to a full-face curb at no cost to the city.
Okay.
So they want you to contact permits and enforcement parking section upon approval of this application.
So I don't have the,
Yeah.
so the parking spaces that are there apparently are not legal?
I've been in contact with the city actually recently. Well, they reached out to me to say that they are, and they want me to reapply as a new owner. And there's an application fee and requirements, but they're permitted, so.
With them then.
Yeah, okay, fair enough.
As far as we're concerned, we're just dealing with the third floor addition. If there's no further questions, I'd be prepared to move approval of the application, subject to that transportation condition.
Okay.
Second one.
All in favor? You have your approval, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Number 27, 168 Heward Avenue. Purpose of this application is to alter the existing 2.5-story semi-detached dwelling by constructing a rear 2-story addition and to construct a rear detached garage. Before us on this application, we have material submitted by the applicant, a staff report from Urban Forestry, and 14 form letters in support.
We also have a planning rationale, I guess, submitted by the architect.
Yeah, that's part of what was submitted by the applicant. Yeah, your name, sir?
Jeffrey Moot, Principal Moot Architect, agent and applicant on behalf of the owners.
Do you have any questions, Michael? No, I don't need it. Mr. Chairman, I'd like to move approval of the application subject to forestry condition number 2. I think this is a relatively minor application. It clearly meets the test for variance, and I'm persuaded by the fact that we have support, including the attached semi-detached homes.
Second that.
All in favor? You have your approval, sir.
Thank you.
2938 Boulton Avenue. Purpose of this application is to alter the existing two-story semi-detached house by converting the attic into habitable space and by constructing a rear third-story deck. Before us, we have material submitted by the applicant and a 7-signature petition in support.
Yeah.
Your name, sir?
My name is Peter Treen. I'm the agent for Becky Thompson.
Do we have any questions for Mr.
Do you know what the floor space index is currently before the?
According to the, I think it's probably, I think it's just like 1 times. It's pretty much maybe a little under that. But.
I don't think, then how could you go to, the attic, is the attic 51 square meters? Probably not.
No, it's.
Because you're adding, you're basically including
the attic,
the 3rd floor.
The proposed finished attic will be 32 square meters.
Okay. So today seems to be the special day for attic habitable space and closing front porches.
Mm-hmm.
There's no construction proposed, there's no dormers being added, no impact?
No, everything's,
so,
I actually have a letter of support from the adjacent neighbor who was unavailable to sign the previous letter, but I can...
You can put that as part of the record if you like. I think you see we already have 36 signing the petition. That must be the neighbor on the other side at number 40.
Okay, number 40.
Okay.
Boulton Avenue, letter of approval.
Okay.
Does the deck exist?
Letter of support.
No. And I drew it as being fairly, like just figuring, you've got that area of square,
Yeah.
So it's basically within the existing footprint of the house. If it was necessary to trim it back, then we'd certainly be open to that. But.
My only concern would be the privacy issues for the property on the south and the properties on the west. You're up a fair distance, and that's a fairly substantial deck.
Yeah, I know well, we've got support from the people across the laneway and to the...
So right behind you, they're in support.
Yes.
What about the people at 36?
Yes.
They're in support as well?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm reluctant to ask you to screen it, because sometimes the screening makes the deck really fairly unusable because it's so high.
Mm-hmm.
You might just want to be aware of the fact that you're awfully close to the property.
No, I can appreciate that, yeah, and...
Some landscaping or something up there to help.
And Becky's she's very kind of sensitive to her neighbors and things, so I think it would, whatever gets done will be very amenable,
Okay. I'll move approval of the application with no conditions.
Second motion.
All in favor? You have your approval, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, now we have to go back to number 23, which is 667 Richmond Street West.
Hello again, committee members, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, just hang on 1 minute. The purpose of this application is to alter the existing two-story townhouse by constructing a rear second-story addition above the existing attached garage. Yeah, okay. We have before us material submitted by the applicant, a staff report from planning, support from 7, I believe, and opposition from 669 Richmond. Yes, sir.
Planning.
I said that. Go ahead.
Okay, so yes, we had a chat out in the hall, and unfortunately we're unable to come to any sort of compromise. This is really the only situation that works out for my clients. So As I mentioned before, I'm Graham from 22 Close Avenue, agent for the owners of 667 Richmond West, here to request several minor variances from the zoning bylaw in order to permit an addition above the existing garage at the rear of the home. The purpose of this addition is to accommodate a nanny suite, as the owners who acquired the property in March of 2013 have a growing family and would like space for their relatives to stay while they help out. In the future, this space could either be used as a home office or it could be rented out, but my clients would like it to be known they have no interest in short-term rentals whatsoever. So we've looked at several different ways of making this work, and the current proposal is the best. That is a view of this house looking down the laneway on the east side. It's very difficult to work with. It's already been added on to by previous owners, and we are unclear on the history there, to the point that there is no soft landscaping. The entire lot is covered. The owners had considered a third floor. Well, there's a tiny front yard, but the owners had considered a third floor rather than building at the back, but felt that it would be too narrow and have a negative impact on the streetscape and not fit in particularly well with neighboring homes. And they also considered building the addition directly off the back of the second story, where you can see the existing deck there, and that's their only real outdoor amenity space. So building the addition there and moving the deck to the area above the garage wouldn't be ideal. It would basically be sitting on two alleyways, and we believe would also have a greater impact on the neighbor to the west. I have met with planning staff personally and spoken with them on numerous occasions in an effort to come up with a compromise that works well for all concerned. I'd been advised by planning that if this were a proper laneway suite and it could meet most or all of those bylaw requirements, they would support the plan. However, we cannot provide adequate separation between the existing house and a laneway suite without demolishing a large portion of the existing home. And that would be counterproductive, to say the least. So planning also suggested that we incorporate some green space. So the owners and designers have worked out a revision. I have copies here. Rather than the proposed peak roof, the plans that were submitted, they'd like to change it to a flat roof, which would hopefully address some of the concerns about sunlight for the neighbor. So we would see.
So where's the proposed second story? That's the piece at the rear with the three windows?
Exactly.
Okay.
I have copies of revised elevations and a roof plan for committee members here if you'd like.
Have you read the planning report?
Yes.
So the planner points out, this is staff acknowledges the subject property contains a dwelling. It's been part of the neighborhood context for many years, with a built form that is larger in scale than its prevailing context. So I guess they also say they don't have any records of this one-story addition already there being constructed with a valid building permit. But it says buildings covering the entire lot with no rear yard amenity space or soft landscape is not appropriate built form. So in connection with that, you're looking to go for 1 times coverage permitted to 1.47. Do you know what the dwelling is currently before this proposed second story addition above the garage?
Yes, I do. I was getting to that in my presentation. Let's see. The existing home is legal non-conforming at 1.21 times the area of the lot, or 167.81 square meters.
Yeah.
And as I said before, this was all done by previous owners. The current owners have had nothing to do with the...
I understand your clients need some space for a nanny suite or whatever, but if they bought a house in 2000 that was already pushes the envelope, is already like really overbuilt compared to the prevailing context, as planner, assuming the planner's correct, you know, maybe there is no solution to add if it's already it's being built lot line to lot line, and you're already over the 1 times coverage. You're looking to go another 25% over that.
This is true. Now,
that's your quandary here.
I agree. Now, a laneway suite was approved at 667 Richmond just a little while ago. This is
667.
Oh, sorry, 677 Richmond.
Okay. But can you go back like you say, there's no spatial separation between the laneway house and what you have here.
No, it's a different situation from ours, but the point that I was making is that this addition would sit more so on a laneway, not on Richmond, and we're really talking about the character of a laneway, not the character of Richmond Street. So I have a couple photos of this laneway.
Sure. Can you clarify to me what you indicated that instead of the proposed east elevation that we've got, you're proposing to make it a flat roof? What is that addressing?
Well, it addresses the height somewhat. We were hoping it would address some of the neighbors' concerns about overshadowing or the scale and massing of this addition. I do have plans here if you'd like to take a look, and we would also be adding a green roof to it.
There's no height variance, at least in the new bylaw or under the old bylaw.
No, there isn't, but it would still reduce the height from 7.74 meters to 6.98.
So it's not just making a flat roof, it's actually using the flat roof to grow vegetation.
Yes, that is the plan as well.
Okay, we'll hear from the neighbors.
But we will hear from you.
So otherwise, as for the character of this laneway, this is what we're talking about. It's in behind this home. So I think we're really discussing the characteristics of the laneway, not so much Richmond. I mean, it's all two-story commercial. And also the variances in terms of floor area, and I did send in a couple spreadsheets, I'm not sure if you have them in your package there, show that our floor area variance is very much in the middle of what's been approved in the area in terms of floor space index and just as square meters. So this would be sorted by square meters that have been approved over the last decade or so.
You have to look at, I don't know if these are all similar lots, but
Well, just
they're on Richmond. You look, or are these Richmond, or just like, I think I know where that is. It's like it's a row of townhouses.
Yeah.
So has anyone else done an addition at the back on
Well,
being completely used up with built form?
I haven't seen anything where the entire lot is used like in this case. It's kind of a unique situation and difficult for these people to do anything with. But, I mean, next,
I think that's the issue.
I agree.
I think that's the major issue. So I would like to hear what the objective, I mean, covering the entire property with building is, one would argue, well, once you've done that, is it really feasible to enlarge it? And that to me is the issue that's before us. So I'd like to hear what these people have to say about the way you're proposing to do it.
Okay, I just like, one last thing I'd like to mention is that I did go and knock on all the other doors up and down the street and dropped off letters explaining the proposal and providing contact information to 10 other addresses immediately there. Now, we haven't heard back from anybody, so tried to open some lines of communication. Nobody was opposed or in support. So I'll yield to neighbors.
Where's the planning report? I don't have it. Here.
My name is Fernando Pontes. I live at
Your name again?
Fernando Pontes, 66 9th Street, Richmond Street. And I lived there already for
669?
66.
Can you bring in maybe the microphone a little closer? Thank you, sir.
And I lived there for 4 years,
Great.
and I'm already boxed in because the neighbor 667, already the building was like covered. The garage is attached to the house. Building another room on the back will cover the sun for me. I'll have nothing to grow in the backyard. All I can grow is pickles, and tomatoes just can't grow there no more because the sun is not in. Building that room in the back is just going to cover me more. And then when we have snowstorms, I think the snow is going to hit that wall and it's going to come out to my house.
You actually have a garden, correct?
Yes, I do. I
You
do.
have a
And a tree.
two-story brick building and then a two-story vinyl siding, and then you have a garden with,
I have a garden, I have a tree
You have a
right
tree in it.
against the garage.
and then you have a framed garage.
Yes.
Okay.
So you get the west sun? From the east side. You don't get any of the east sun?
Like from the east sun, yes.
Yeah.
I won't have none.
Yeah, so do you know, would you happen to know what your floor space index is? You wouldn't know how much
No.
your building is in terms of the floor space, but it's obviously less than them.
Yes, I'm almost 13 feet across,
I see, okay.
and he's, I think, about 14.
So his lot's a little wider than yours
About 2 feet,
in terms of the,
yeah.
okay, thank you.
Thank you.
So I do understand the neighbors' concerns, and I'd just like to say again that this is the best configuration that this homeowner and their designers have come up with, and trying to work with planning to accommodate this nanny suite for relatives. And beyond that, there really isn't much else that they can do with the property. They do have neighbor support, as you mentioned, from several others, and I find it interesting that in conversations with planning, if this were a laneway suite, they said they would have no problem with it, but it would create the same shadow effects and issues such as that as this would.
You'd have an opening in the middle of the lot somewhere. Like they have a garden, you would have a garden.
This is true.
You know,
And you'd be
there's.
providing additional housing to a housing stock that's under siege right now. So I think there are at least two reasons why that would make this a more desirable application were it a true laneway street.
Well, this unit could be a rental unit in the future to provide additional housing in the area. Just current intention is using it as a nanny suite.
Do you have to rebuild the entire garage or just add on top?
I believe they're just adding on top. I'm not too clear on what the actual construction plans are, just addressing the variances.
Mr. Chairman, I think my sympathies are with the applicant. This is a tough application for him to try and resolve. I think the problem is the site is already built to what I believe to be the maximum, and increasing it, I think, is creating huge hardship on the adjacent owners, and I think it also creates precedent problems, and as the planning department indicates, it also offends the official plan policies and the zoning bylaw policies. On that basis, Mr. Chairman, I don't think I have an alternative but to move that the application be refused.
I'll second that motion.
All in favor? Your application's refused, sir.
All right, thank you.
So make sure you fill out one of the decision request cards. In the event of an appeal, you want to be notified.
Number 28, 267 Sammon Avenue. The purpose of this application is to legalize and maintain the rear one-story addition constructed without proper authorization. We have before us material submitted by the applicant. Your name, sir.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, member of the committee. My name is Mehran Haidari. I'm designer and applicant presenting the application on behalf of the owner. And if you see in the application, there is the rear addition that is done by the previous owner, and we have the opposition from the neighbors about the drainage system, and I explained to him that we are going to get approval from the committee of adjustment at later on. We're going to apply for the permit, and the permit we have to submit the new grading plan and the drainage system, and we have to follow the building code. So the issue about the drainage is going to be solved at the end of the certificate of the occupancy. And he suggested to add the condition on the approval, to add on the approval that the owner or builder has commitment to have the enough drainage system in the permit drawing. So if it's possible, but I explained to him this is the obvious document that we have to submit in the permit stage. If there is any question, I'm happy to answer.
So this was built by a previous owner?
Yes.
Client. I'm just reading your letter. It's a little hard to... So you said they're going to also be applying to deal with the grading, and has that already been done? Drainage?
Yeah, for sure. We have to, the permit document that we need to submit, one of the documents is the grading permit. And the grading permit shows the drainage system perimeter of the building, and we have to have this drawing for the permit stage.
Okay. Let's hear from the neighbor. This is a one-story addition. This is one story
Yes, one-story existing addition.
Ground floor, what's in there? It's like a kitchen or a family?
No, it's just the sunroof and the stairs going to the basement, right. The cover of the basement.
Okay.
I can show you on the floor plan.
Sir.
Okay. Let's hear.
get an elevation drawing? The drawings in our agenda are illegible. We don't know really what this looks like.
You don't show the adjacent neighbors also on that, right?
There's a site plan that seems to show that. This drawing here. It's so faint, I can hardly read it.
Yeah.
This is the existing condition that we have. This addition that is done long time ago is the purpose of this application.
So, have you got drawing A0? Can you put it on the overhead, because we can't read the one we've got? Okay, there you go. And that lines up with the property to the east, right? They have an addition too, a one-story addition at the back.
Okay.
Sir, I want to understand what you meant by, you mean, if we approve this, you still have to deal with the city with respect to drainage or something?
Yeah, for sure.
When was this built?
You know what? We applied for the alteration inside of the property, and during the zoning examination, the zoning examiner mentioned that we have to go for commutative adjustment for this addition. This is why we are here. So it means because the permit is exists for the alteration, and this part is already inspected by the city, we have to get the permit for this addition. And the permit for this addition needs the grading plan. And the grading plan have to have the supporting...
When you say a permit, you mean a building permit?
Yes, building permit.
Built without permission and without a building permit.
So because we have the current permit right now, we have to get the occupancy permit right now because of the addition, the alteration inside.
So if we approve this, you still have to get a building permit?
Exactly, yeah.
Whatever they indicate.
Yeah, exactly. If you look at the drawing that we have, the existing sunshade to be remained and reinforced accordance to the structural drawing. It means we have to provide the structural drawing to the city and get the approval.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Let us hear from the neighbor.
Thank you, gentlemen. Mr. Chair. My name is Mike Alkis. I'm the owner of 259 Sammon. And one of the major issues we had with this addition in the past is the improper grading of the rear of the house, that it caused flooding in the basement and flooding in the garage.
So, sir, you're next door.
Yes.
Are you the house we just looked at?
Yeah, 259, yeah.
You also have a very similar one-story addition.
Yeah, that was done and with a permit.
You don't have any objection to this, how far, the size or the massing or anything?
I'm not having, I'm just going to make sure that when they built that, I believe they blocked the drainage on the side of the house, and I have pictures I can show you that they...
We'll deal with the building department on that.
Yes.
The question is, do you know when this was built? You've been living there a long time, a previous...
I don't know when they built it. I don't know when they built it.
It was built before you bought?
Yeah, possibly, yeah.
Okay, it was before this gentleman was climbing.
No, I don't know when it was built. I don't want to say when. I know it's there. I don't know when exactly. I don't want to say when it was built.
Okay, but you have no objection to how far it is, how big it is, because you have the exact same thing. With the drainage issue.
Yeah, that building of that, I don't know. I think when they put it up, I noticed, and I don't know when they did it. It has caused substantial flooding on my side. And because that is on the side of the house that drains the water from the rear of the yard to the front of the house. Excuse me. That's my biggest concern. And I showed a picture that they, in essence, they're draining the water instead of to the front of the house, away from the house, they're draining the water towards inside the yard.
I see.
Which is like this winter, because of the more snow and melting of the snow, my garage became a pool. So if they build that and they keep that there, and they don't do the proper elevations, I'm going to continue to have the same problem. So that, I think, that addition there is blocked the drainage of the water that it would go on the slope of the house.
For your addition, you're draining the water away from the property. But there-
Are you referring for my addition?
Yes.
My addition, yes, fine, it drains away. It doesn't drain to their house, it drains away to the house.
You heard the applicant, I don't know where he went. Is he still here?
He's there.
Oh, sorry. That he's going to have to apply and he's going to get that. So if you have any, we can call the buildings department, and that's not what's before us. We don't deal with issues of drainage.
Okay.
We deal with the built form.
So you have to deal with the building department to make sure that your concerns come to their attention, so that when they're issuing a building permit, they make sure that your neighbor complies.
Well, but that's part of I agree with you. I wholeheartedly agree with you when we discuss this outside. 100% agree with you. What I'm saying, if I allow this and I have no objection to it, that means I have to follow up with the building department.
Yep.
All we agree is that the committee of adjustment will approve this condition with the condition that it will be in compliance of the grading and the drainage. That's my concern. And I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
I know what you're saying.
You have to follow up with a different department. We really can't make our decision. And even though it was already built, and really it's not being built, but they have to go back and get a permit as if you have to deal with the building department. We don't make our decision conditional on another department unless they ask us to do that. So you've heard here today, sometimes planning asks for a condition of approval, transportation asks for a condition of approval. Building is sort of a separate matter. So you have to make sure that.
Why do I have to make sure? That's not my.
Is concerned with that. Well, you're concerned with the drainage.
Sir.
We don't normally make our applications conditional on. It's implied that it obviously has to.
Then I'm not approving it. I'm not approving it if you're not making that part of the condition.
You're not approving it. It's not up to you to approve it. It's up to us to approve it. So far, you haven't given us any planning rationale why you don't want it. You've admitted you have the same thing. So we can approve it without your approval, right? We're dealing with planning issues. Your concern is a building issue, a construction issue, a drainage issue. That's not before us. It's not our area of what we're here to do here today. We're here to approve minor variances from the provisions of the zoning bylaw. He has some variances. It's a one-story addition similar to yours. You haven't raised any problems saying it's too big, it overshadows me, it does this. Your concern is, and it's a legitimate concern, sir. Don't say, I obviously realize it's a legitimate concern, but it's not something that we deal with at Committee of Adjustment.
I understand.
Okay.
I am not objecting to that. I'm simply saying that if you want to go ahead and approve it, approve it. I have no problem with it, but that's going to be part of the minutes, and I'll submit you the letter. That's the issue I have with you approving this.
You should get in touch with the building department.
And then.
Or speak to, this gentleman seems very cooperative. He's here sometimes before us, that they will deal with that, and he'll be in touch with you as a good neighbor.
Yes,
your concerns dealing with drainage, not planning issues, are dealt with by another body, another department of the city.
Right. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. So you want to put this part of your record, or?
Yeah. I don't believe we need to hear from you anymore, sir.
Okay.
Well, just to confirm, you're going to deal with the proper drainage. Perhaps you can be in touch with this gentleman. So he's part of the process, that the information that his concern, and I know this year is a particularly bad year for snow, but that he doesn't have those problems, that they look at that issue when they retroactively give you your building permit and deal with those issues. Obviously, it's normally better to be dealt with before it's built, but here it was already built by someone other than your client, so we are where we are.
Yes, but as you know, he's worried about after Committee of Adjustment, the owner doesn't follow the permit for this addition.
All we can do is.
So my request is for his assurance. So can you approve the application subject to getting the permit during, for example, 1 year for this addition? Can you make something like this?
You don't normally. But you want us to impose a time limit on you and your client?
Yes, yeah.
You're here to legalize, obviously, because your client is doing internal renovations.
Yes.
They've identified this as an issue, that this one-story addition was never done with permits. It was you never had approval from committee. That's why you're here. Your next step is to deal with the building permit process.
Yes, for sure, yeah.
As another way of dealing with what you're both trying to get at, it's unusual. Is it possible to add a condition that drainage on the property is to be to the approval of the building, Commissioner of Building, which it is anyway, but at least it's noted then in this decision. Is there any way we could, I think what both gentlemen are saying is we need to flag drainage now as a problem. And I agree that that's, yeah, but because there isn't anything in the minutes to indicate what's been brought to our concern or to our attention, I don't think. As Mr. Clark has said, this is beyond our purview. I'm just wondering if there is any way that we could reference in an approval that drainage issues are to be addressed to. Pardon? Yeah, okay. Do you have any suggestions? Do you have any suggestions on how we can address this issue?
He'll be required to deal with drainage. He's required to have the drainage. Drainage has to be onto the subject property and away from other properties. He'll have to comply with that. If you put a time limit on when he gets his building permit, if there's some other issue that arises during building permit that delays him, then what happens to your decision?
Could the minutes indicate that the applicant?
I have indicated that the gentleman has appeared in opposition with concerns about drainage.
Okay, so it's in the minutes.
It's in the minutes.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Do we have a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I would move approval of the application. It's minor, but I believe the steps are there to correct the problem that you're having with drainage, and we would look to the applicant to follow the appropriate steps with the building department, in which case the drainage issue will be corrected.
I'll second that motion.
All in favor? You have your approval, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, that is the 130 list. Oh, we're almost on time. I'm going to vet the 230 list now. Number 3039 Dundas Street West, applicant here. Yes, please sit down. We're not going to deal with it just yet. Any opposition? Okay, yes. We're going to hold this down, and you can meet out in the hallway and see if you can resolve the issues. Number 3140 Wardell Street. Yes, any opposition? No. Okay, number 32, 302 Linsmore Crescent. Applicant, Linsmore? Going once?
Gary's over here.
Oh, okay. Any opposition on Linsmore? No, okay. Number 33, 144 Humbercrest Boulevard.
Yes.
Applicant? Yes. Any opposition? No. Number 34, 56 Floyd Avenue. Applicant?
Over here.
Yes. Any opposition? No. Okay. Number 35, 12 Milton Road.
Yes.
Yes. Any opposition? No. Number 36, 114 Ashdale Avenue. Applicant? Yes. Any opposition? 37, 71 Woodycrest Avenue. Yes. Any opposition? No. 38, 86 Strathcona Avenue.
Way over there.
Yes, any opposition? No. Number 39, 151 Pickering Street. Applicant, yes. Any opposition? No. Okay. We go back to number 31. Purpose, that's 40 Wardell Street. Purpose of this application to alter the existing 2.5-story semi-detached dwelling by constructing a rear 3-story addition. We have before us material submitted by the applicant, a staff report from Urban Forestry, and 4 form letters in support. We have an applicant to come forward. Thank you. Give us your name, please.
Hi, I'm Kelly Littleton. I'm the owner of 40 Wardell.
Okay. Do we have any questions, or do we need a presentation? It's pretty straightforward.
Mr. Chairman, I think it is very straightforward and very reasonable. I'd like to move approval of the application subject to forestry condition number 2. I think it clearly meets the test for variance and it's reasonable development.
Second that motion.
All in favor? You have your approval. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Number 32, 302 Linsmore Crescent. Purpose of this application is to convert the basement of the existing one-story detached dwelling into a secondary suite with a rear basement walkout and to construct a second-story addition with rear decks on the first and second stories, a front second-story deck, a rear two-story addition, and 2 rear yard parking pads. We have before us materials submitted by the applicant, a report from planning, and 3 form letters in support. Your name, sir?
Hello again. Sean Galbraith, planner here for the applicant.
Yes.
Not sure if you need a presentation.
I don't think so.
Have you seen the planning department recommendation?
I have, and we're good with it. There's a drawing that accompanies it.
Yeah, it's just screening, yeah.
Yep.
Okay, if there are no further questions, Mr. Chair, I'm prepared to make a motion of approval of the application. I believe it's minor, meets the 4 tests, subject to the planning condition with respect to opaque privacy screening along the south edge of the rear second-story platform. I'll set out in the memo.
Second the motion.
All in favor? You have your approval. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Number 33, 144 Humbercrest Boulevard. Purpose of this application to convert the basement of the 2-story detached dwelling into a secondary suite with a rear basement walkout and patio, and to construct a rear 2-story addition with a first-story deck. We have before us materials submitted by the applicant, email correspondence from Planning, Conservation Authority, pardon me, and a report from Urban Forestry and Conservation Authority. Yes, sir, your name?
John Carley, and I'm the architect and agent, and my client, Maureen Hagan, is here.
Okay, do we need a presentation? Looks pretty straightforward.
I'm just slightly over an FSI.
Yeah.
The RCA.
They're fine with it.
No objections, right. And then there's urban forestry.
Yeah, but it's not a condition. I don't know what it is.
It's background, and I discussed that with Anita. There's no condition.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm happy to give a presentation, but if that speeds things up, I don't need to.
Okay.
Yes, thank you. We don't need to.
Just give us your name, though, and address.
He did.
He did already.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mr. Carley.
Okay. I don't think I need a presentation.
Neither do I. Mr. Chairman, I'd like to move approval of the application. I think it's, excuse me, straightforward and clearly meets the test for variance.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Number 34, 56 Floyd Avenue. Purpose of this application is to alter the existing 1-story detached dwelling with an attached garage by constructing a rear ground floor deck, a second-story addition with a rear balcony, and a 2-story addition behind the existing garage. The existing front porch will also be reconstructed. We have before us material submitted by the applicant and 7 form letters in support. Your name, madam?
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. My name is Tatiana Pejevic, and I am the designer for the proposal and the agent for the owners, who are also present here.
Okay, do we need a presentation or?
2-story addition. Just as the height variance, it says it's 8 point, it says an altered 1-story detached dwelling. I guess it previously was 1-story, now it's going to be 2-story. When we see a 1-story with a height variance, so.
The survey that you've submitted indicates that the majority of the other houses on the street, at least the adjacent houses, are 1-story. Is that the predominant character in the area of 1-story houses?
It's something which is currently in transition. There are already houses which obtain building permit, like house number 64, which is already built 2-story house, and some of them are further in Floyd, like 175 and 171, which have been also approved with as a 2-story house. The current zoning allows 2-story house up to 8.5 meters. Yeah. We have, in fact, proposed a second-story addition above existing bungalow and 2-story rear extension behind the back of the garage. It's almost, in fact, building 2-story above the footprint of the existing house. In order to avoid the costly underpinning for this house and at the same time to achieve heights which are currently something almost standard, and it is 8-foot ceiling and 9-foot ceiling.
Ask what your ceiling heights are. So
yes,
9 feet on the ground floor and 8 above?
Yes, and maybe I can show also the... So the section which we see here shows that front portion of the basement is remaining with the 7-foot ceiling, while the back portion of the basement is elevated up to 8-foot ceiling. After that, we have rear portion of the ground floor, 8-foot ceiling, and the front portion 9 foot and 4 inches, while second floor is 9-foot ceiling. I would mention that the variance which is indicated in the zoning, which is 9 meters and 9 centimeters, of course is a height variance, while we were trying to achieve, in fact, certain heights of the floors, but at the same time, the height of the exposed main wall is complying with the zoning, so it's less than 7 meters. We tried, in fact, to have the heights of the main walls which are complying, but at the same time, the roof height is, and the overall height of the building is 9 meters, 909. And I would mention that the owners have been living in this neighborhood for 20 years, and they established quality relations with the neighborhood. So they achieved and obtained great support from their immediate neighbors. And I would just maybe show so we can see that the letters of approval are coming from the two houses at the back, which are 25 and 27 Bater Avenue, and also immediate neighbor who is 58, then also 64, and the neighbors across the street, which are also pertaining to Floyd Avenue, and it's 43, 40.
Just one minor question about the second-story balcony. We're permitted as 4 meters. You're at 8.36. You're a little over double. And I see it's off a bedroom. It's not off a main room where they're going to have parties. What's the reason for the bigger?
Yes, I would.
It looks like it's off bedroom number 2.
Yes, I can show also the rendering, which is showing condition of this.
That's the rear balcony off of one of the bedrooms. It's
yes, we see
a little
in
larger
fact,
than permitted.
On the rendering, we see the proposal where is deck at the ground floor, and projection of the deck is complying with the zoning. We have side yard variance for the deck, which is in fact resulting from the existing condition where the whole house is 76 centimeters from the side property line, while allowed and required side setback is 90 centimeters. The deck at the second floor, I would mention that the whole house, the length of the house is 14 meters and 2 centimeters. So, and the second floor is also built above existing house, which means in fact that the proposed house and the existing one have the same length. The projection of the terrace on the second floor is 1 meter and 60, which means in fact that 15 meters and 63 centimeters are still far shorter than allowed length of the house, which is according to zoning 17 meters. Even this this terrace on the second floor is not projecting into required minimum rear yard. So we believe that that this can be considered as acceptable. And the owners also talked about this feature with the immediate neighbors at the back and at the side, and they obtained support for this feature. I would just again.
It doesn't look that much deeper than the one on the ground floor. It doesn't look overly wide. It doesn't go the full extent. but yet it's double what's permitted. It doesn't look to be double what's permitted, but
It's just 1 meter 60 centimeters projecting, and I'm saying it's all together with the house, it's 15 meters and 63 centimeters, which is far less than required maximum length of a house, 17 meters.
Okay.
And it creates protection, protected conditions on the main floor, and it's less than the half of a projection than it is deck on the ground floor, which is complying with the requirement, with the zoning requirements.
the 4-meter restriction is only on
the
decks at the second level
Yes.
and higher. So
Yes.
obviously your ground floor deck is fine.
Yes.
It's your second floor deck. It's off
Yes.
the bedroom, so
Mhm.
I assume it's just for someone to go outside and
Yes.
get fresh air. Not
It's not for
family gatherings or
family gathering or so. It's just more serving also like a canopy for the deck. And
Does anybody have any further questions, or are we ready for a motion?
Carl? If there's no further questions, I am prepared to move approval of the application. I believe it's minor and is appropriate and meets the 4 tests.
I'm prepared to second the motion. I have some reservations about the height of the building, but I do know that there's a lot of support, including the adjacent people and behind and beside. And it's an odd-shaped lot, so the impact of that extra height might be dissipated somewhat by the shape of the lot. So I would second the motion.
All in favor? You have your approval. Thank you.
thank you very much.
Number 35, 12 Milton Road. Purpose of this application is to construct a 2-story detached dwelling with an integral garage. We have before us material submitted by the applicant, a report from Urban Forestry, and 3 form letters in support.
Hello again.
Again and again.
Sean Galbraith, the planner, here on behalf of the applicant, who is also here. Would you like a presentation?
Well, it doesn't look like we really need to hear from you.
The variances are both within the range of approved and basically right at the average.
Okay. Aware of the urban forestry condition?
Yep, standard condition.
So it's quite modest in terms of only 2 variances, and those are not very substantial. I'm prepared to move approval of the application with urban forestry condition.
All in favor? You have your approval again. Thank you. Number 36, 114 Ashdale Avenue. Purpose of this application is to alter the existing 2-story semi-detached house by constructing a rear 2-story addition, a new covered front porch, and a rear ground floor deck. We have material submitted by the applicant, reports from planning and urban forestry, and 8 form letters in support.
Good afternoon. I'm Craig Ritz of Sierra Design Studio, agent for the owners.
Okay, so have you seen the planning report which says refuse variance number 2?
I have, and we've had some back and forth with the planning department. Give you a little backstory to how things have transpired here. So about 2 weeks ago, we were contacted by planning. Obviously, they raised some concerns with relation to the depth, proposed depth. In this process, we realized actually that the zoning notice that had been issued initially was incorrect, and that in fact we would be requesting almost double the depth variance that we initially were aware of. So the revised zoning notice was sent to us. We were back and forth with planning, and in that discussion reduced 1 meter from the building depth. The drawings were revised, resubmitted. At that point, we were contacted again by planning to say, in fact, they were still had some reservations about the depth we were proposing, and asked for a possible further reduction of 1.5 meters, which unfortunately we just felt would compromise the function of the space, and obviously the the reason the owners were looking to add on in the first place. A further reduction of the 1.5 meters they were requesting would actually result in a dwelling of only 1,420 square feet, and in fact would only be 213 square feet larger than what exists now. We did speak about the possibility of going up, but as you can see, this is a very small lot and a very small house. The proposition of going up, trying to add to the third story, presented a number of issues as it relates to the existing width of the house, the existing stair configuration, budget issues, structural issues. So we ventured to move on as proposed with the initial revision we provided for planning.
The 19.57 that we have in the agenda, is that the revised?
That is.
It's been revised.
That is the revised, yes.
So it was 18.81 at some point.
Yeah, there's a lot of kind of back and forth there, but
where they measure, because what I don't understand in your revision, your floor space index is going down by 0.04 or about 7 meters, but yet your depth is now going.
The depth was
not quite
20.57, I believe. There was an issue with the examiners. I think he was looking at building length as opposed to depth, and there was an issue there. Obviously, the average of the front yard setback, which does bring me to one comment as far as the section of Ashdale.
Before you do that, I just
yes.
want to make sure we got the right number.
Sure.
So before us, we have floor space index of 0.88.
That's correct. When we made the revision, we got it out just like the original public notices had gone out, but going back and forth with the committee, we were able to get the revised drawings and revised.
19.57, that's correct.
That's correct.
Okay,
no, thank you. So just to say furthermore, this section of Ashdale's kind of interesting. It's comprised mostly of detached dwellings on significantly larger frontages, most of them being about 25 feet wide or 7.61 meters, where obviously our subject property here is a semi-detached on a 4.41 meter frontage. And with the existing dwelling currently is just a two-bedroom home at 1,207 square feet. It's a very small. So with the revised plan, we're currently proposing a three-bedroom house at 1,541 square feet. Certainly not anything egregious, but unfortunately, in trying to just add on to this house and not being able to really go up, this is where we've ended up. And
it looks like both adjacent neighbors are in support.
And this is the thing, so that was one of the comments, obviously, from planning in our correspondence, that just being concerned, obviously impacting the amenity space of the adjacent neighbors. And of course, you see before you there that they have.
Maybe they want to do the same thing.
Well, and that, I mean, it does. I understand.
They also have narrow lots. Is also a very narrow lot next door on either side, or
on the lot to the south. Yes, is obviously the other part of the semi, and then detached lot to the north. And I do want to speak to precedents. I understand it's a concern, and I know often the committee will say that you don't deal in precedents, that you look at things at a law-specific standpoint. And I think this is a case where, this is why the process exists for conditions like this, where we have a very, very tight lot, obviously the bylaws are going to be much more stringent and have a greater impact on a lot that's 4.41 meters versus most of the neighbors who are significantly larger. As far as a precedent from the planning standpoint, I'm not sure that a lot that's 4.41 meters wide would have any real precedent for a much larger lot with a detached dwelling. And we do believe there are some mitigating factors to what we're proposing. First and foremost, the proposed height's actually 1.8 meters lower than the maximum allowable height. We are complying with all of the required setbacks. All the soft landscaping requirements are being well met.
So, and 1,500 square foot house on that street, which you say is mixed, is not a large house.
Many of the newer houses, you can see it.
What's the width of your lot? And you said 4-point-something meters. So what is it?
14 foot.
14 foot wide lot.
Many of the houses are upwards 2,300 to 2,800 square feet. Significantly different.
Not on that wider lot. But what I find confusing was when you read the staff report, they mention the possibility of going up. It says Note that the subject property is located in a zone that permits 10-meter building heights, which can accommodate third-story additions. So they seem to be saying, well, why aren't you doing a third story rather than going back? You're only 2.5. They're not offering anything. They don't want any variance. They want it at 17. They're not saying, oh, 18, 18 and a half. They're saying, you asked for 19 and a half. They're just saying comply. And they seem to be suggesting you could go up.
And that was, again, when we're looking, so we have a house at its widest point in exterior dimension is 13'6", and currently the stair runs side to side. It's a very small, quirky house. So in my response to planning was, well, they said, you know, you could very easily go up. And I said, well, in fact, in this, if you really look at this specific and said, you know, we're not looking at numbers, we're actually looking at this house, we actually can't very easily just go up with what we're working with without significant opening a can of worms and completely gutting the house and among other things. Again, the neighbors have obviously provided letters of support. We were trying to work with planning. Again, we did make a revision. And once they came back, like I said, the additional changes they were requesting would literally give us an addition of 213 square feet. And clearly, the other houses on the street aren't dealing with the kind of condition that we're dealing with, and that they're much larger lots, detached houses. The picture that I've got up shows the approximate, that line is the approximate line of the setback we'd propose. You can't see that well, but in further behind, there's another house that projects fairly significantly, and then on Hiawatha, you can see on the left-hand side, there's another house that projects quite significantly into the rear yard as well. And again, this house that you see clearly on the right-hand side was actually approved at 10.99 meters in height. Based on that, our proposed addition would actually be 9 feet lower in height than what you see there.
What are you showing us there? That's the side?
This is looking down from the back, so that line would be the line, within reason, the line of the rear wall.
The house we're looking at, is that 114 or 112 or 116?
This is, that house is number 124, actually. So this is looking north, kind of standing at what would be the rear wall of what we're proposing, and looking back.
You don't have any other photos to show us?
Not that.
Because, you know, it's a 14-foot lot, so you obviously can't expect to build the same size of a massing of a house as on a 25-foot or 20-foot lot.
And we're not even remotely proposing, certainly from a GFA standpoint, anything that is comparable.
You added a third floor, and in my opinion, look awful. Be too skinny, too tall.
Just to get up there. So, like I said, the house steps back to 9'8" exterior dimension at the rear. You can see where the kitchen is. So even at the widest portion at 13'6", we have to now get a code compliant stair, 3 feet, going up to the third floor means completely gutting the second floor to accommodate corridors and accommodate a new stair. And then what you end up with in that third floor becomes very tricky. And then we'd actually, I think we'd likely be requesting a side yard variance if we did that as well. So that was one thing at the outset here. We felt that while we are working within the allowable side yard setbacks, and, you know, trying to meet all the other requirements, that just, you know, from a logical standpoint was going back, and then it was, you know, okay, you know, what is the impact? And again, we, you know, certainly want to work with planning, and we said to them, we by no means want to be butting heads with you, but when you just specifically look at this house, this lot, and really the ramifications of, you know, what we're trying to do design-wise, it's certainly tricky.
Okay. Do we have any further questions, or we have a motion? Okay, Michael?
Michael, are you ready?
Go ahead.
I'd like to, I'd like approval or recommend approval of the application. I'm a bit confused by the planning report. They go to some length to explain that in the neighborhood section, we need to reinforce the existing physical character of each geographic neighborhood. And then they talk about the depth that's proposed being detrimental to the people on either side. People on either side of supporting the application. And I think that were you to go for an increase in height, I think that would be far more detrimental to the neighborhood character. So I'm in favor of the solution you have. I would recommend approval subject to forestry condition number 1.
I'll second that motion.
All in favor? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Number 37, 71 Woodycrest Avenue. Purpose of this application is to alter the existing 2.5-story detached dwelling by constructing a rear 1-story addition, rear basement walkout, and rear ground floor deck. We have before us only material submitted by the applicant. Your name, please.
Jane Blacklock.
Do we need, so there's one variance.
Only one variance.
Right, okay. We have a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I think this is an extremely minor application and one that's worthy of our support. I'd like to move approval of the application with no conditions.
I'll second that motion.
All in favor? Thank you very much. You have our approval. Number 38, 86 Strathcona Avenue. The purpose of this application is to alter the existing 2.5-story detached dwelling by constructing a complete 3rd-story addition. We have before us materials submitted by the applicant and a report from planning. Your name, sir?
My name is Dennis Benoit. I'm representing the owners.
Yes.
Okay, I don't think we need a presentation.
No, I don't think so. We have a motion.
You're 0.01 over on height.
Yes.
Again, the eaves on the 3rd floor, the floor space index appears to be reasonable. We haven't heard from anyone to the contrary. You're adding about 53 square meters for a complete 3rd floor, and there's there's a height variance, I guess. Is the height variance, does that fit in with the neighborhood, do you know, or?
It does. I do have a screenshot of the neighborhood if you'd like. I can put it on.
Sure. Okay.
That is my client's home right there, and you can see it's the same height as the neighbors. And our new roof line is actually, our new roof line is actually slightly less than the existing ridge. So I'm surprised by the height variance because even on the application, it clearly states 10 meters, but the zoning review has it at 10.01 meters.
What's the side exterior walls? It's funny, you meet the height, but you're over on the sidewalls.
Yeah.
By over 2 meters. Why is that?
We're not actually changing. I'm going to show you the side elevation.
Because you're doing a complete 3rd-story addition.
There is that's misleading. There is an existing 3rd floor. There already is a 3rd floor. We're just adding a dormer and...
You're working within the envelope and pushing out a dormer.
Correct.
Okay.
So you can see the line of the old ridge, and you can see where our new flat roof is. It's slightly below the existing height.
So,
Benoit,
any further questions?
B-E-N-O-I-T.
I'm ready to make a motion. Move to approve the application subject to the condition contained in the staff report that the addition be built substantially in accordance with the dimensions shown on drawings A1, site plan, the south front elevation, the west elevation, north rear elevation, and the east elevation, all with respect to the side exterior main height wall.
Second motion.
All in favor?
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, number 39, 151 Pickering Street. Purpose of this application is to alter the existing 2.5-story townhouse by constructing a rear 1-story addition. We have materials submitted by the applicant, and that's all. Your name, sir?
Kevin Potts from Norseman Construction.
Okay.
Just one quick question. Do you, what's the current floor space index?
I think right now they're at 0.97%, and it's supposed to be at 0.6. That's the existing. We're currently looking to add about 70 square feet on the side of the...
Hold on, you're looking to go from 0.6 per minute to 0.92?
Yes, and currently it's at
0.7?
Pardon me?
You said 9.7 or 7.9?
No, currently I think it's at about 0.92.
Well, that's what you're looking to go to.
So then it's at about 0.9. We're only adding about 70 square feet. So instead of having it a narrow addition, they want to go full width in order to maximize the kitchen
You're
area.
at 0.9, you're going to 0.9.
Correct, yes. We're not going any deeper than what's existing, we're only going wider.
And it's just a one-story, that's why.
That is correct.
Okay. There's no further questions. I'm happy to move approval. I believe it's extremely minor, meets the 4 tests.
Could I ask one question?
Sure, of course.
The existing deck is sandwiched between, it looks like, an existing deck on the property to the north, and open space to the property to the south.
I'm not sure about that, but the one to the north is going for C of A as well. Similar, yes, they're going for same width.
Okay, and the one to the south?
Nothing.
I'm just wondering about privacy issues, because they haven't objected.
No, they're all.
You're placing a deck right next to their garden.
Yes, I understand, but as you said, there is no objections. I think they have had conversations with them, but we've been in this process for at least 2 years.
Have these people, have they given you a letter of support?
No, I haven't asked for a letter of support. But as you said, there's no objections either.
Is there an existing deck now, and you're taking that off and going to put a deck back on after you do your
Correct.
addition?
Correct.
So currently, there's no screening on the deck?
Pardon me?
On the existing deck that's there, there's no currently any screening to screen it from the neighbor?
I believe that they have a fence in between the 2 properties, but not off the top of my head. They're all fairly sandwiched together because it's a row of homes. They're all.
This deck is a grade?
Yes.
It's not raised?
I don't believe so, no.
May not be need for, if they have fenced, properties are fenced, then they really don't need screening. It's not like it's a second floor or anything.
Actually, no, the grade, it isn't. It is a grade.
Yeah.
There's a stairway, there's a basement. Okay, that's fine.
Okay.
I second the motion. Sorry for that.
That's okay.
Did we make a motion?
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
All in favor? You have your...
Thank you.
Thank you. Get a break.
Wait a minute, we're not finished. We have to go, yes, we held number 30. Number 30, 3039 Dundas Street West. Are we here? The applicant for 3039 Dundas?
Okay, you want us to tell them we're ready for them?
Oh. We're in trouble because we don't have, the next list is 4 o'clock. It's only 10 after 3.
Tell those people they could take some more time.
Well,
let's see what they say.
they can come back at 4 or 10 to 4.
We don't want them hanging.
Good book.
Yeah.
2-story mixed use, 2-story residential addition.
Don't encourage them. What is this? This is very minor.
Just 2-story addition, but
Yeah.
only slightly over.
Yeah,
50 square meters over.
but they're talking about something about variance.
Thank you. No problem.
I don't know, this is an extremely minor application, so we don't need more, they shouldn't need more time. They're talking about something other than the variance. Sure. The purpose of this application at 3039 Dundas Street West is to alter the existing two-story mixed-use building by constructing a two-story residential addition over the existing building with a front balcony on the fourth story, a rear four-story addition with rear and side balconies on the second, third, and fourth stories, a balcony on the north side of the third story, and a rooftop patio. The main floor of the altered building will be occupied by a commercial use and 2 interior parking spaces, and a total of 8 dwelling units will be located on the second, third, and fourth floors. Before us on this application, we have material submitted by the applicant, a staff report from Urban Forestry and four form letters in support. And we have one variance. Yes, your name?
Name is Saba, sorry.
Are the objectors still here? The people are rejecting?
Yes, they are.
Or could they come forward and sit up here?
Sir. Okay.
Okay, so my name is Saba Al-Mathu. I'm from QBS Architects, and I am the agent.
So it's a lot, sounds like a lot of building, but there's only one
small variance
just over the floor space index.
Correct.
All right, so what are the neighbors objecting to, and have you reached any agreement?
So the neighbors, first, their objection was a misunderstanding for the size of the variance we are asking. They were under the impression that we were asking for a height variance, which we were not, and the major concern was privacy. But we explained to them that we will never invade privacy, and we agreed on using some frosted glass on the couple windows that overlook their property. And
Property is a residential property?
it's a mixed use as well.
Mixed use as well.
Exactly, it's exact same function as well.
What's on the ground floor of your building?
Commercial space right now. It was appliance repair, but once we do the renovation, it will still be commercial. We don't know what type of tenants we will be getting. We have reached an agreement with the clients. Their major concern was privacy, and the clients agreed to do whatever it takes to, as much as possible, to maximize it. Even like we explained to them, the way we set our balconies is not to face the neighbor by any mean. They were facing each other, and we are already putting privacy screen for our own units anyway.
So you're improving the situation from what it was?
Absolutely.
Yeah, okay. All right. So are you asking us to put in any conditions or anything in this, or are you going to reach it, or are you have a private agreement with?
You can hear from the neighbors to see from our end, this is not related to any of the variances we are asking for. And so you can discuss with the neighbors if they need
All right. Thank you.
anything. Thank you.
All right. Can we have a spokesperson come up to the podium, please? Give us your name and tell us whether you're satisfied with what Ms. Al-Mathno just said.
Good day. My name is Zoran Zurbica. I live next door and have been a resident there for 47 years. We had a conversation.
Is your address 3037?
3045. There is a skip in the numbers.
Yes, okay.
So the agreements that we are entering upon are sort of as follows, that they would do as much as possible to ensure our privacy, because we built our deck area and more or less a glassed wall facing on the inside of the building, as we had originally planned to have it south, but the people south of us put up a 4-story building, so we...
Because you have a 2-story building, 1-story...
we have a 3-story building right next to them.
And residential upstairs, commercial below.
Residential on the second and third floor.
Building 2 more stories.
And so what's coming up, what they're proposing is a 4-story building. So our concern was, blockage and so on and so forth. And we understand that development is inevitable, but we want to do it in such a way that it's agreeable to everyone around. So in our conversation, they pointed out that they would do their utmost to try to ensure our privacy from their westward balconies that overlook both our patios and look directly into our living room, kitchen, dining room areas. Since our entire north wall from that perspective is mostly glass.
So are you satisfied with what they proposed?
We came to an understanding that should because they're right on the property line, and so building balconies or windows or any kind of openings, 3 inches away from us is could be a potential fire hazard. It could be a potential problem that they wouldn't have any future objections to us doing anything on our property once their balcony was in place.
So does their balcony go within 3 inches of the property? The building doesn't. The building or the balconies?
The building, no, well, the balcony is right on that.
Okay, because the balcony doesn't encroach onto your property, though.
It doesn't encroach onto our property. It would be flush with...
But the balcony, sorry, is a Juliet.
Okay.
So it's like an opening. It's like
right.
And it faces,
right.
It's supposed to face this way with a split down the middle. Now, if I extend my deck, that becomes an issue of privacy, or if I build something to the front of the building, since right now all the development that we've done has been at the back of the building. So if I do 2 sections with a middle part, they won't have any, because they've built a balcony and an opening there, they agree that they won't have any objections whatsoever, for us to put
so that's,
a wall or anything else that would.
So that's something you should probably put in writing and get an agreement. I don't think that's something.
Yeah, it looks like they're Juliet, right?
Could be dealing with.
Carl?
Okay. Would you? Oh. All right, and we don't want to hold up their development if they do what they say they're going to do. Then certainly we're going to be agreeable to
Can you clarify?
them commencing.
I'm obviously lost because I'm trying to listen to you, but I'm reading the drawings again because I made a mistake.
Certainly.
You're on what side of the property?
Looking down there, I'm on the
west side.
On the west side. So there you go. Yeah.
Okay, so the proposal that I've got has got fairly large balconies on the third floor, second floor, and so. But you mentioned Juliet balconies. These aren't Juliet balconies. These are full balconies.
How deep is that balcony?
Well, according to my drawings, they look to be 2 or 3 feet deep. That's why I'm trying to clarify if I've got the information correct.
Okay.
We were told they're Juliet.
Okay, Juliet balcony means you don't walk out on them. You just open the glass and there's a railing. There's no walking out.
Okay.
These somebody needs to clarify.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can walk out because
So they're not Juliet
So
balcony.
what are they? They're real balconies. They're full balconies. So they're not. Just to clarify, they're not Juliet balconies. You open the door and the door is here, and you walk out and you can stand there. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so that's different than what you think.
Okay, so technically those are 2 different things.
Absolutely. Juliet balconies basically are railings that are screwed on the wall that allow you to open a door or window without falling out.
Okay.
This is a real balcony. They're on each floor.
Okay, well, they were quite adamant that they were Juliet balconies, so that phrase kept being repeated. Can I
take a chance?
But they're inset, I guess, because otherwise they'd go over the property line.
No, because there's an indent.
Oh, okay. I thought it was built right to the. Yeah, it's indented. Yeah, yeah, it's indented. Yeah.
There's the balcony. That's, I think, the edge of the balcony.
No. Yeah, but
is it
Yeah.
No, they're smaller than that.
Well, there's no line that shows what it is.
If you look at the elevation.
So maybe the applicant can show us how deep is the balcony?
So if you let me speak, these these are Juliet balconies. You see there is no railing, no step out or anything. This is just open because we want to get in the light. So this is open. There are no floors or whatsoever. In our proposal with the clients, we agreed to match all the other balconies to be a Juliet like the second floor. So this is our second floor.
So it's a Juliet, but it's inset.
They are Juliet.
So this is gone.
This is nothing.
This is
We
not.
didn't propose a balcony. Exactly. This is just open. Because if you see our floor, our roof plan, it's open to the road. That's how we are planning to get in light here because we know our neighbor.
Okay, so it's primarily a light.
To build a wall.
It's a light shaft.
Exactly. It's a light shaft. We did it on both sides because we know both our neighbors, they might develop and build a wall here. So we wanted to create a light shaft. In order to highlight the privacy issue, so we were prepared to change the other floors from regular balcony to Juliet to be similar to the second floor. And that's what we agreed with the client.
So in effect, then, there aren't real balconies. They're basically railings across the entrance. On the ends, not on. Have I completely confused you now?
So they are Juliet balconies.
There are Juliet balconies. 82003 Juliet balcony. 82004 there will be no step out balconies. So for the third and fourth floors, these will be Juliet balconies as well. No step out.
Okay, so from your perspective, to safeguard your privacy and overlooking us, what are you anxious to have happen? They've indicated that you can do what you want on your property, which is fair.
Because I wouldn't be actually contravening any of the current bylaws.
And they're hoping you don't build a wall there because that's why they put the light shaft there.
That would be available to me if you know, that turned into a B&B and a nuisance. So, you know, I would be forced to put up a solid wall there to, you know, for noise and for drunkenness and whatever else. Right?
If it's just these Juliet balconies, are you okay with that?
I'm okay with the idea of a Juliet balcony. I mean, their placement is going to be kind of critical because it either overlooks our balcony or, I mean, you'd have to be face-to-face neighbors at that point, or, you know, if they're offset either further south or further north. But I mean, the problem with that, with my comment there, is that then it becomes a difficult issue to split those apartments and to create the kind of space in the individual units that I understand that they could have a problem. We could show some photographs.
So I just want, we are not overlooking this property. Our two Juliet balconies are looking each other and we have a privacy screen. These are the windows that are overlooking his property, and we were prepared to do frosted glass, and he agreed on this. So our clients.
Where's the, you said there's a privacy screen, where is it?
Between the balcony.
Privacy screen is here in the middle.
But that creates privacy between those two units, doesn't?
Our own units don't overlook each other.
Okay.
So can I show you a picture?
Yes.
Flip.
Oh, my God, upside. So this is
Currently from our deck.
from our deck. So they're going to be building a big wall right between. There's only 2.5 inches between our buildings.
Give or take.
I mean,
Right, so your deck looks out onto their...
The proposed
which
yeah,
is where they're going to...
site.
third and fourth floor, yeah, third floor.
Flip. Go on the other side.
They're putting windows on that? Like, what if you put up a second and third floor in your building? You're the owner of the building, correct?
Yes, we are.
Okay, so there is the separation between the two buildings.
Okay.
Nothing much, really. And how does the light shaft, how does that relate to where their deck is? Are they adjacent? Your light shaft and their deck, are they side by side?
It appears that it's directly beside our deck.
The west wall, so they would see that.
If they feel more comfortable adding another privacy screen here, we can do that. If that makes them happy and sure.
I just want to clarify, the gentleman beside your deck, is it here? Is it there or is it?
I believe it's to the right and the entire width of the building. Here and south. No, from there going down, across.
Light tunnel, let's say, starts at about 49 feet from the front of the building. And it's 23 feet, and then there is another 35 feet.
We would basically, I think, from what I see there, have adjoining balconies, like their balcony and our patio would be right next to each other.
My only question to you, sir, was: are you satisfied with your discussions with your neighbor, and are you satisfied that they're going to comply, or
well, I mean,
considering entering into a written agreement with them? Because
no, let me, you know, here's the thing. To answer your question, I didn't know this, but me and the property owner and I have longstanding connections in the neighborhood. And I think there's a lot of goodwill on both our sides, but then somehow, you know, my experience is that a lot of these things that start off like this sometimes can turn sour, and I wouldn't like that to happen, because I believe that there are some plausible, feasible solutions to both of our.
I'm suggesting you get whatever you agree to in writing, but it's not something that we can deal with here. We're only dealing with a variance with respect to floor space index of a very small increase.
Mm-hmm. Can I ask you a question? Would whatever is proposed on their plans interfere with my future development or use or addition?
I'll speak to a lawyer about that, a planning lawyer.
I see.
We can't give you any advice on that.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Obviously, if you want to do.
Okay, thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Do we have any further questions of the applicant, or are we prepared for a motion?
I'm prepared for a motion.
Okay.
Want me to say anything for him?
No,
I think we're good.
Thank you.
Just that I think we agree on everything, and if he wants to build a wall, I'm more than happy for him. I'm pro-development, and he knows how we go way back, and I'm more than happy to make him happy also, and do everything that's correct. So.
I was friends with his dad.
So your name, just for the record, you're Justin Lee?
Well, Justin.
Okay, Justin Lee Holdings. Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to move approval of the application subject to two conditions. One, the condition of forestry, which is our condition number 2. I'd like to add a condition that the balconies on the east side of the building to be built substantially in accordance with drawings, because it indicates that they're Juliet balconies.
Sure.
Substantially in accordance with the second floor, third floor plans, which, okay, they are A2003, A2004, and A3004. The reason for putting that in is that clarifies that they're Juliet balconies. You can't fill that in with the whole balcony.
Absolutely.
Second that motion.
All in favor? You have approval. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next one's at 4, not 3:30, so.
Pardon me? Yeah. Yeah, because I just wanted to maintain that they don't fill in.
Thanks, guys, for waiting.
No problem. Okay, break time?
What happened to our cookies? We used to get cookies. Okay. So what you're saying is you're optimistic we're going to get out here before dawn? Yeah. I'm going to go grab one. We're not going to eat the cake. put it's on the south, whatever side it is, south, I think. You could just say that because they're the only balconies anyway, you could just say balconies are, the balconies are to be, because they're the only balconies, I believe. Well, there's no problem in having those also, yeah. Granddaughter just won a ballet award. Look. Third in Ontario.
Oh, that's good.
That's pretty
How old is she, 14?
14, yeah. That's good.
Taking a break? Oh, you have timed items much like community council or whatever?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's been a weird day, because the morning went so long.
Well, that's right.
Just like flying through the afternoon.
Yeah, well, that's what I thought. I was like, oh my gosh, they're done. They can't be done yet. So how many more do you have?
6 at 4 o'clock, we'll hear 6.
Okay.
Depends on what day though, but.
Okey doke. Perfect. Nothing this morning, and now, because I just got it.
Yeah. Like hit or miss. It says I'm in the City of Toronto website in the settings, but.
Ask him, he'll be able to help you. He knows all about it.
Just sometimes I can't open my emails here and it says can't send. Oh, yeah, okay. It looks like I'm in an unsecured one. Shows that I'm in.
So there's been a police accident just where one of our applications was today.
Sorry?
You know the house that was next to that home for women?
Yeah.
And a police incident just very close to that right now.
Oh, yeah?
It's on the news.
which the actual width of the lots is reasonable, even if it wasn't lots. You having a busy time at work, Michael? Some days, yes.
Company bugging me because I said I didn't file something in the court, so they sent me an affidavit. Huh? No, I'm fine. So then they sent me an affidavit to swear and all kinds of. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We are now going to vet the 4 o'clock list. Let me know. Okay. Number 40, 21 Hemlock Avenue and 3 Vince Avenue. Is the applicant here?
Yep.
Yes. I'm not calling you up to the podium yet. I'm vetting the list. Any opposition? No. Okay. Number 41, 36, 4 and 36 Vince Avenue. Is this the same? Okay. We can hear them together, I take it? Okay. Number 42, 161 Howland Avenue. Yes, any opposition?
Yes.
Yes, okay, we're going to hold that one down. Perhaps you could go outside and see if you can resolve some issues. Oh, all of them? Okay. All right, number 43, 107 Armstrong Avenue. Yes, applicant, any opposition? Number 44, 655 Crawford Street, applicant? Oh, okay. Any opposition? 45, 212 Christie Street. Any opposition? No. Okay. So let us go to number 40, Hemlock Avenue and 3 Vince. Should I call the other one at the same time? Okay. And number 41. Okay, let me deal with this. The purpose of this first application, oh yes, to obtain consent to sever the property into 2 residential lots. So this is a technical thing because the part lot exemption bylaw expired.
Exactly.
Lapsed. Okay, before us we have material submitted by the applicant and correspondence from community planning and engineering. And on the second application for 34 Vince and 36 Vince, the consent request is to obtain consent to sever the property into 2 residential lots. Again, a technical thing. And we have material submitted by the applicant and correspondence from planning and engineering. Right, in your name, sir.
My name is Travis Skelton. I'm the land development manager for Scale Developments.
Yes, okay. So you already got severance and you didn't do what you were supposed to do, or your client didn't within time?
It's a bit more trickier than that. There was a part lot control exemption on this property. This is a previously owned Urban Corp site, which we took over once they went bankrupt.
Oh, yes.
So through those proceedings, the part lot exemption actually expired, which didn't allow the conditions of the part lot to be fulfilled. These homes are already built. I'll speak to both applications. All of these homes are built. 2 of them are occupied by residents at the moment. And as you said—
Without good title.
Without good title, correct. So we'd like to make that final today.
So the part lot exemption expired or lapsed before your client could take over?
Correct.
All right, thank you. Do we have any further questions?
No.
Let's deal first with number 40.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to move approval of the application. It's a technical consent and subject to the normal consent conditions.
I'll second that.
All in favor? Have your approval. You have your consent.
Thank you.
All right, let's deal with 34 and 36 Vince Avenue, number 41.
I'm fine. Could it be open and apply my motion to both applications, 40 and 41?
Okay. And your second motion again? All right, all in favor? Okay, both approved, sir. Thank you. Number 43, 107 Armstrong Avenue. And the purpose of this application is to legalize and maintain the rear second-story deck enclosure addition constructed onto the detached dwelling without a building permit.
Yes, sir.
We have before us material submitted by the applicant. We have correspondence and opposition from 105 Armstrong Avenue. But there's no opposition here, right? Okay. So, do we need to hear from the applicant? This looks very minor, straightforward.
I don't think so, Mr. Chairman. As well, this was deferred not because of any problem other than the applicant had a family emergency that he had to deal with. I think that it's a fairly reasonable application, and I'd like to move it.
I second that motion.
All in favor? You have your approval, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Number 44, 655 Crawford Street. Purpose of this application is to alter the existing three-story detached dwelling by adding 2 dwelling units for a total of 4 dwelling units. And we have a note that there is an OMB decision that permitted variances for a new 3-story building containing 2 dwelling units. And we have before us material submitted by the applicant. We have correspondence from planning, and we have opposition from 5 addresses on Crawford Street. Your name, sir?
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman. Franco Romano here on behalf of the owner.
Yes.
So this is an application that involves a property. It's currently a constructed building, and it's constructed on a property that's got a multiple residential zoning. So the zoning that applies to the site allows a detached dwelling, 2 units or a duplex, 3 units, triplex, 4 units, a fourplex, as well as an apartment building. The reasons for the unit variances associated with this variance application arose from a subsequent zoning examination that was given to us in December, I think it was, if not late November. Otherwise, it's our opinion that we don't really need a unit variance, just like the OMB decision, because I was given evidence at the OMB on the previous application that also asked for a variance based on a zoning review to allow 2 units, but the 2-unit variance was not necessary. And if you look at the OMB decision, there is no variance that was granted for the number of units. And I think that description of the number of units variances tends to create some confusion in people that receive a notice for the hearing, and that's why you receive some of the opposition. But in my letter that I supplied in support of the...
So I believe you don't need, I think, I just want to be clear as to what you're saying, so I understand it. You don't need a variance to add 2 more dwelling units for a total of 4.
We believe
it's permitted. The bylaw permits it.
Correct.
The only thing I guess you do need is the
examiner.
fact that your units are slightly undersized, which by today's standards is not an issue at 58 square meters.
Correct. Correct, because there is...
That's how you do come to need approval, in theory, for the extra 2 units.
Correct.
But in terms of adding the units, that's not really a variance.
Correct. Yes, this is a neighborhood that consists of singles as well as multiples, and they are scattered throughout various streets. And I do provide a description of the number of properties, even on Crawford, that have 2, 3, or 4 units on them that have received some minor variance approval for other things. So in my opinion, the variances that are before you today are very minor, respect and reinforce the neighborhood physical character, and we support
variance number 4,
yeah,
which talks about buildings not been constructed more than 5 years, and you're now introducing secondary suites, which these aren't really secondary suites, are they?
No, it's a fourplex.
So you shouldn't need variance number 4.
Shouldn't need it, but the zone examiners identified it.
No, I understand.
Yeah.
I understand.
Yeah.
The only issue of substance reading through the neighbors' concerns, and there are some of them are upset that you're doing 4 units and said you were doing 2, and they figured there's some bait and switching going on and whatever. It is permitted, I agree with you. But they do mention some issues of overlook. Are there issues of balconies that are causing concerns?
Yeah, they're very small balconies that are, I think they are about 1.2 by 3 meters, just tucked into the north.
So were these balconies before the OMB, or were they adding extra balconies now because now you have extra?
They're constructed by permit.
They were constructed by permit, so that's also really not before us.
It's not before you, but we are in agreement with and support the planning staff recommended an opaque screening along that north edge.
Yeah.
That could be readily accommodated, and we're agreeable to that condition.
Okay.
So do we have any further questions?
If there's no further questions, I'm prepared to make a motion to approve the application. I agree with Mr. Romano said, you don't really need, it's not an issue of secondary suites. The unit size is slightly under what's required, and that hasn't changed in many years, notwithstanding condo unit sizes have changed dramatically. And I would impose the condition on the opaque screening along the entire north edge of the rear, second and third story decks to a minimum height of 1.5 meters.
All in favor? You have your approval, sir.
Thank you kindly. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Number 45, 212 Christie Street. The purpose of this application is to alter the existing 2-story semi-detached dwelling by constructing a front 2-story addition with a 2nd-story balcony, a rear 2-story addition with a basement walkout, a ground floor deck, and a 3rd-story addition with front dormers. And the rear detached garage will be demolished and replaced with a rear parking pad. Before us, we have material submitted by the applicant. Your name, sir?
My name is Ken Tai. I'm the agent for the client.
This application was deferred to allow you to discuss with the opposing neighbors and to make revisions. Can
Correct.
you tell us about those discussions and the revisions you've made?
Yes, we talked to our initial neighbor, the family, the Mirulis family. They raised a concern about the extensions, so we addressed it from 3.35 back to 3 meters as what they want. And we also removed the 2nd and the 3rd floor balcony as what they request. So we address all the neighbors from neighbors' concern from this family. We
changed 3.2 to what?
3.35. Now we are asking 3 meters.
Which variance is that? Or is it a variance?
It's a variance, yeah.
The heights come down slightly.
We're asking for the building length. We're asking for the height. And we're asking for...
Yeah, if you can compare the two notices, they've come down. The height is, depth has come down to 24.81 from 28.9. The height has come down from 10.37 to 10.21. The main wall height, front exterior main wall height has gone down from 10.2 to 9.91. Floor space index, 1.99 to 1.68. The next one, does the next one change or not? 6. Side yard's the same, I guess that's an existing condition, the roof. And then you've dropped a couple of variances. 8 and 9 are no longer there, that were in the previous.
Correct.
Under the new bylaw.
And the 3 meter that you referred to, where's that? You mentioned
the 3 meter. Well, the 3 meters is not the ask for variance. It's the total building length.
Okay.
Yeah. Just we are extending 3.35, which is the one of the concern from the neighbors, and we listen to what they want. We put it back to the 3 meters. Yeah.
Yeah. My also recollection of looking at the minutes, it looks like you were prepared at the last hearing to make the changes.
Correct.
But to make sure I got everything right and everything, we agreed to defer it.
Yeah.
Because we didn't want to start redesigning on the fly.
Yeah. We also has the other letters last time is concern about the parking. We tried to reach that neighbors, but the clients cannot reach them. But we are not asking any parking variance. We're a single family, so we provide one parking. Yeah.
I see that there's still a setback required from the center line of the laneway.
The reason it was relining up to the existing building, so that's how it's more like a technical.
I guess it's to allow for a future public lane widening or something.
So you're not 2.5 meters back from the center line of the laneway?
No.
Right, so you are. So do you have a picture of the properties that abut the laneway?
I have a picture.
So you don't want to agree to that?
Sorry?
You don't want to agree to push back the parking pad to set it back 2.5 meters from the center of the public lane? Because you see, that's, the city wants that for the future, not for now.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we can actually push it back.
Can you accomplish that?
Well,
That's old. That's old.
Oh, I see.
Remove the garage.
Okay,
it's a
there's
pad.
no more longer a garage.
Yeah. Yeah.
I see, okay.
I'm sorry, yeah.
So is the purpose of the application changed?
Yeah.
I see, okay. Very good. Okay, in that case, I'm prepared to move approval.
Oh, wait a minute. They said, so the letter from transportation says.
That was the previous in February.
February.
Where it had a garage back there.
Oh, it says parking pad.
Yeah, you're right. The rear
Is this
detached
old?
garage will be demolished and replaced with a rear. So they still want the rear parking pad to be set back 2.5 meters from the center of the lane. Well, I guess, do we have jurisdiction over parking pads? Because he's removing the garage. Like, the parking pad really, does it have a, you know?
I think if you put it in a condition, say the parking pad, set it back to 2.5, our
Yes.
clients has
Yeah,
no
okay.
issue.
You're okay with that?
We're okay with
Okay,
that.
so that's my motion, approve the application and impose that position with, that condition with respect to the parking pad, not the garage, which seems to be the way it was back in February in any case.
I second the motion. Compliments for resolving the issues.
All in favor? You have your
Thank
approval,
you.
sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, now we have to go back to
One item, 42.
42. So this is 161 Howland Avenue. Would the opposition come and sit in this rows here? The purpose of this application is to alter the existing 2.5-story detached dwelling with 3 dwelling units by constructing a rear 2-story addition with a ground floor deck. Separate entrances for the dwelling units on the second and third floor will be located on the south side of the building. We have before us on this application material submitted by the applicant, 4 form letters in support, a 20-signature petition in support. We have correspondence withdrawing support from the petition, and we have correspondence in concern and interest from 6 addresses on Howland, and we have correspondence in opposition from 3 people on Howland. All right.
Does Heritage still have concerns? There was, is there something from here? Did you say Heritage?
No.
No, I saw something about Heritage having concern. It's a Heritage, the first House of Charles Spurl, the first official auditor of Ontario. I guess he didn't have GPSs to check if the tree guys were really where they're supposed to be back then.
Okay. So, your name, sir?
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair and Committee. My name is Kyle Kadra. I'm the agent. Thank you for that summary. You actually summarized.
Could you speak to one further thing in your comments? There's a number of references to people that supported this, that are, excuse me, withdrawing their support. Can you shed some light on that? I don't understand that.
My understanding is that one of our opponents created a report and kind of shared it with those neighbors that we canvassed already, and told them that, shared that findings, explaining that we are kind of setting a precedent and we're applying for something that is uniquely larger than whatever is in the area. And they were convinced by their report and withdrew their support.
So who was it that withdrew? Because my summary here doesn't tell me who actually withdrew the support. There's two asterisks, and it says withdrawing support from petition dated April 24th, 2019. Where are they? I didn't see anything.
It's everybody.
Under the 20 signature petition?
Everyone under the asterisk, under correspondence and concern and interest.
Oh, okay. Okay. So the four form letters in the 20 signature petition still stand subject to these 6 withdrawals. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. All right. Thank you. So is there just one variance requested?
Yes, Mr. Chair. We used to have, I think, 6 variances when we originally submitted last year, and we revised the application so that we can try to satisfy the neighbors' concerns. And during the second cycle, Heritage identified that it's a heritage building as well. So we had to address all of their concerns, and they were completely satisfied. So the application before you right now addresses all concerns from planning and heritage.
Okay.
Can you just start off by telling us what the existing floor space index is?
The existing floor space index.
You're asking for 1.33, whereas 1 times coverage is permitted. And that's basically your only variance.
Right now it's 1.19.
1.19.
Okay. I think, sir, we should hear from the neighbors.
Sure,
I'm not sure what their concerns are. We'll get back to you. Okay. Do you have a spokesperson? Somebody to speak on behalf of everybody? So are you speaking on behalf of everybody?
We did not discuss who speaks for whom. I speak for myself as a neighbor from
Pardon?
I speak as a neighbor from across the street.
Yes?
Okay.
And are you other gentlemen going to speak as well? All of you?
Yes, we are.
Okay, you have 3 minutes each.
My name is Mel Greif. I live at 168 Howland Avenue. I live diagonally across from this said property. And I've known that property since my arrival in the annex in 1972. So I've seen what's happened in that house and so on. The primary concern that I have is one to do with density. It's a pure planning issue item. This property already exceeds density as it was constructed initially, and now the owner is trying to get an extra bonus of density just because. And this brings the density to an excessive density of 1.33 or something. And as a community member, I find that rather insulting and excessive and should not be allowed. But most important, it establishes a precedent for future land use by other people. This is probably one of the smallest properties on that strip of Howland, yet it has a very large house on it, but now they want even more. And so therefore...
Where on Howland are these is your property?
I'm directly across.
No, I understand you're directly across
Wells Street. Wells and...
But where is it? Is it north of
this house,
the railroad tracks?
The property is one house north of Wells.
There's Wells.
It's clearly indicated on the map.
Wells and there's Brunswick.
Oh, okay, so... What's this street here? Oh, that's Wells.
And it's a house with a very generous density already.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's Brunswick. Yeah. Okay.
So I oppose...
So you said you're at 160?
168.
168, okay. Thank you.
Okay. So So I oppose the application purely on planning grounds and on the issue of precedent and what it means for future use and land use in the annex. Many of us have very large properties, and we're entitled to a lot more, and we don't actually use the allowable density. But in this particular case, they're asking for quite an excess of density. So,
okay, thank you. Next.
Good afternoon. My name is Barry Glassful. So I own 163 Howland Avenue, the next house north of this house. I've sent a letter with a handout with comparison floor space indices, which you should have in a letter. Yep. And in the context of our block, so what you mentioned, the Upper Howland block, the immediate neighborhood, this, in my submission, is not a minor variance. From the handout, you'll see that 161 Howland already has the highest floor space index of all 82 houses on our Upper Howland block. So the details of all this is in what I sent to you, but this house already has the highest index. The statistics we pulled showed it as 0.97. The applicant says it's 1 point something today, but anyway, it already has the highest floor space index, and now they want to go a third over what's permitted. So if
what's the other highest? So there's nothing over 0.97, is that
correct? And the median was 0.53 according to these statistics, and the mean or the average was 0.58. So this one's already double the size of the average or the mean, basically, and it's already the biggest. So a couple of problems.
That's at 0.97, never mind 1.19.
1.33.
No, that's what he's asking for, but he's saying he already has 1.19. Mr. Glassbow's chart shows it's at 0.97,
right,
which is still already the highest. The next one would be 160, who I think we have a letter from, at 90.9.
Right. So if your committee permits this addition, you're going to set a new precedent for our block. And if this house, which already has the highest FSI, can push higher beyond zone density, everyone else can go much, much bigger. So basically, 161 Howland's already a very large house on a stub lot. And for that reason alone, I'm asking that you deny the application. I also want to point out a couple of things. So the applicant's drawings show a rear yard fence in my property as an extension of the rear yard fence of their property, and there is no such fence on my property, which goes on much deeper than 161 Howland. So this ghost fence is there, and I'm concerned to create a false perception that it would be okay to extend 161 to kind of provide some coherence. This is done multiple times in the drawings, and so I'm concerned about the accuracy of the drawings, and similarly concerned based on those drawings that the proposal is really still for a 4-apartment project, not 3. I mean, calling the huge basement a recreational or fitness area, it's much more likely they intend to rent that. So I'm asking that you deny the application on that basis. But fundamentally, it's just a precedent-setting case. And in my submission, it's not a minor variance. My son, Lucas, is just going to speak on the impact on our house regarding the lighting.
So, Mr. Glasspool, can I just ask you a question? You cite an application for 170 Howland, and you said an addition wasn't approved. Their FSI is 0.49. They had a better argument for approval than 161. So I take it, so what was their proposed FSI? Do you know?
No, I don't know.
So that doesn't mean they were turned down on the basis of FSI?
Correct. That's absolutely correct.
Okay, thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Lucas Glassbell. I'm the son of Barry and also live at 163 Howland Avenue, the property just on the north side of 161. I'm here just to talk a little bit about kind of what I do at the house and make it aware that I will be negatively affected, in my opinion, by the variance that is requested, and I'm requesting that it is not approved. Basically, I work, our home has a lot of windows facing the south side, which is the area that the new property will be built. And what is being asked is that area is actually has a rear addition, which is going to block the sunlight coming in to the area that I work. I work at the rear of the house. There's a lot of light, a lot of natural trees, and I know that kind of in the annex area and around where we live, everyone kind of loves to have the natural trees, and we focus a lot on kind of lighting and lifestyle, and it's kind of like the culture that's built up in our neighborhood. And when I work, it creates a real feeling of being able to pull the emotion into your work and being able to focus properly in a natural setting. And you can kind of see that if you look at how the light is coming into the building, we're already at parts of the day slightly shaded, but we still have a lot of direct sunlight and a lot of indirect sunlight bouncing off of kind of the ground and everything. So we're very lighted right now, and so throughout the entire day, in the early morning all the way to the evening, there's a lot of light coming into the rear of our property and to the side of our property on both the first and second floors, and especially on the first floor where I do my work. And with this addition, I believe that after looking at it, it looks like it's going to block significantly the lighting, both indirect and direct lighting, to the area that I work in, our dining room area, and what I use as my office every day.
Thank you.
Question for you, how much further does the proposal, they're proposing a two-story rear addition, how much further does it go back than your property? It looks like from this little thing that they've given us, I think you're on the north, which is...
Do you mind if I come and take a look?
It looks like you're here, and then your property jogs in away from it. But it looks like it doesn't go any further back, really, than what they're proposing.
So they're proposing here, that is correct, but
yeah.
So this line doesn't actually exist. Our property goes all the way back.
Oh, I see, okay.
Like
But your house ends here, right?
So our house ends here, but this here, we have windows here, here,
right.
and
their house already goes, this is what they're proposing to add. I don't understand how, with us, it looks pretty modest how they get up to 1.31, well, because they're already at 1.19, I guess that's how.
Yeah, so
But
this is actually with this property here is just a
is that a narrower lot than yours? Is this lot now, maybe you can hear, and maybe you don't know, but is it sort of a uniform sized lot, or is that lot narrower?
The width is about the same.
I see.
But our property extends probably 4 times, 3
I
times
see.
farther
Okay,
back than theirs
okay.
does. So this line
Okay, so
actually
I see, they're near the key lot here, so your property goes like this.
Our property,
That's why they have a high
yeah,
FSI.
that's actually not how far theirs goes. Theirs actually only goes to here.
Okay, so that's why their FSI is high.
So that line's actually correct. The line that you're seeing, that black line,
Yes.
is where their property is.
I see.
And so that's their current house, and their house
So
is...
that's why the house
Do
really
you happen
probably...
to know where the fence is that the first gentleman said isn't there but is shown? I don't see it.
So on here, that's this line here.
The dot.
And in other drawings, that it shows it coming across more. But it's this line that is extended here. Their fence is correct.
Their fences, your property goes way back.
That's right. Ours goes all the way
Plus
back.
all these other properties to the
all
north
the other
of you
properties on the
also go
entire
back.
property all go
Yeah,
back to the same.
He's got a
except
truncated
for
lot.
this one. That's the
Because
only
he's
because
a
all
key lot there.
That's
yeah.
right. He's a
Yeah.
key, exactly.
And what kind
Now I
of work do you
understand.
do? You work at home and...
I'm an engineer.
And you rely on some light too?
I rely on a lot of large drawings. I have these drawings that I work with in 11 by 17 and also large drawings.
Okay.
HVAC engineer.
Okay, thank you.
Next.
That's the size of the lot, that's why there's so much hot.
Yeah, yeah.
What's going on?
Chair, there was the exhibits that Mr. Glasswell spoke to about FSI. I had brought some colored charts so you can see how they work. The red line is the proposal, the green line is what the zoning is.
So are you going to tell us about FSI?
No, I just wanted you to. So my name is Robert Brown, and I'm a member of the Annex Residents Association. I've lived in the Annex for almost 40 years, and I'm here today.
Is that who you're representing today, the Annex Association?
Yes.
Okay.
And myself as a longtime resident, but yes.
Not an immediate neighbor.
Where do you
No.
live, sir?
No, I live at 88 Spadina, which is Spadina Road and Bernard, just a bit south. I did own a house on Albany for...
Anyway, you're here for the ratepayers.
Yes, okay. So really, there's just a couple of issues that I think we should look at. One is, does this proposal meet the intent, the purpose and intent of the official plan? And as you may recall, the official plan was amended by OPA 320, where it tightened up the section of the policy in section 4.1 neighborhoods. And in particular, what I'd like to draw your attention to is policy 4.1.5, particularly subsection C, where development in established neighborhoods will respect and reinforce the existing physical character of each geographic neighborhood, including in particular, section C, prevailing heights, massing, scale, density, and dwelling type. And my position is that the density and the massing of the proposal does not fit within the prevailing character of the neighborhood. Now, in addition to the property data that Mr. Glassbell referred to, I did look at the entire West Annex. I excluded utilities, parking spaces, and apartment buildings, and you basically still have the same pattern as Mr. Glassbell said. There are not, the average is well below 0.1. Now, the second thing I'd like to draw your attention to is in the material provided by the applicant's agent was a sun shadow study, and I ask that you not give any weight to that because it doesn't follow the guidelines of the city's.
But we're not looking at it in relation to the density of.
No, I'm not. This is the second issue.
Yeah, but it's not an issue before us because the variance only relates to floor space.
But I want to talk about, I relate to it as in terms of its impact, as Mr. Glassfell's son said, is the impact of the light. If you look at the sun shadow study that the applicant provided, it does not meet the requirements of the sun shadow study's terms of reference that has been adopted by the city. Sun shadow studies should be done on the equinoxes of March and September 21st, and his studies do not cover that period at all. And therefore, any of the assumptions that he makes or the claims that he makes should be given zero credence. That, in essence, is the position. The neighbors have said that it's well beyond the immediate context, physical character, prevailing character. I also say it's well beyond the prevailing character of everything west of Spadina over to Bathurst, from Bloor up to DuPont. And I really don't think there's much more that you can say about that. This property is just too much for this particular subject site.
Thank you.
Question for, I guess, Mr. Brown, you can answer this. I'm reading the applicant's letter, and she says, the search indicates, which should be at odds of what you guys have given us, the Committee of Adjustment has approved an average of 1.31 FSI minor variance application with 4 applications over 1.5 approved previously in our area, Schedule D approved FSIs. I don't know if I see a Schedule D here. So what is she talking about?
If they reference if they give me the individual properties, I can take a look at it for you.
Townhouses, which I wouldn't compare as to single family. She talks about some Sibelius townhouses, which
they are
irrelevant. They're townhouses.
Yes, those
mentioning these approved FSIs on Albany, Bathurst, Fallis, Howland, Brunswick, Howland, Bathurst. So.
Okay, well, Fallis, of course, is west of Bathurst. Those infill townhouses on Sibelius Lane, it's an infill project on very, very small lots in behind the properties on Brunswick by Sibelius Park.
Okay, I know those.
And they really are not typical of the street-related properties in the West Annex.
Mr. Brown, the gentleman that works at home,
yes,
I thought introduced the most relevant point, other than the fact that this is potentially precedent set, and that is the fact that the property here, which houses a house about the same size as all the other houses, the property is, it would appear, half or less than half the same size as everybody else's property. Do you have a rough idea of what the floor space index is of the properties that are to the north
Yes, just a moment.
Because I think we're going to get confused by just numbers. The issue is these other houses are a much bigger property, bigger lots.
Okay, let's just see if I brought all of that data with me. I believe I did. Yes, I brought the data supplied by city planning for 965 properties. So let's just turn to Howland Avenue. We're looking at properties in the upper blocks. So this is 161 Howland, so 163 Howland, which is the Glassbow's subject property. The lot area for their property is actually smaller than it is for 161, and the FSI of their property is 0.83. If you go to the property to the south, the nearest one on that side of the street has a lot area also a bit smaller than the 161, and its FSI is 0.97. And I can leave this data with you if you'd like. But if you want 9 pages of an Excel spreadsheet, you may not want to go through it.
So do you have 21 and 77 Howland Avenue on that sheet?
21 and 77 Howland?
Yeah.
So let me look.
It says proposed.
Okay, 21 Howland, of course, is on the south block, just north of Bloor. And I do not have that particular property data because it's well outside of the local neighborhood.
77.
77 similarly is south of Barton Avenue. So it's more than it's like in the first block versus the second or the third block of Howland Avenue.
Okay.
If there's no other questions, thank you very much.
So how do they not have a rear yard variance? Madam Secretary Treasurer, like we've established here, the only thing that's going on here that's wonky, because it's a much shorter lot because it's a key lot situation. How can there only be, you would think there'd be other variances, even the existing side yards or just that, you know, the rear yard, there's going to be a rear yard because you have very small, at 1.31, you have to have a rear yard. So has this been the subject of a zoning review?
No, like an exception? No. We are complying with the rear yard setback.
Okay.
Yeah. So the only variance is the floor space index.
Right.
So I just want to comment. I want to start commenting about the whatever Mr. Brown, the report that was prepared by Mr. Brown and presented by Barry here. The findings in this report are simply false.
How so?
The reason, like you asked him about a few properties and he wasn't able to find the proper FSI for them because it's outdated. That's the first thing.
He says outside of the area, you know.
He says that. That's the other aspect.
And the FSI that's set out on those in your material, I think it's your material, is proposed FSI. So apparently there are applications and they're trying to...
It's for approved FSIs by the committee.
Well, in any event, it's in a different area because it's,
I want to touch on
north
that.
of Bloor Street, and I know that there are larger houses just north.
Yes, Mr. Chair, that's the other aspect. They selected to take a very small portion of the area with the same zoning label, and also they just decided to go with the houses on Howland, and they called it like the North Block, Howland North Block, and then they excluded.
Yeah, you have to look at the lot pattern. The lot patterning, I don't mean we have the...
Yeah, it's the same lot pattern, it's the same zoning bylaw.
Or they're different lots, it's a different character.
Yes,
You know,
Mr. Floyd.
It's neighborhood, it's not, and the statistics they have shows that your house is greatly already higher than others.
Yeah,
You're
it's
seeking to go
incorrect.
even higher, and that's just a function of the lot size. Your lot is not as deep as all the other ones to the north in that block.
100%, you're right.
Key lot situation. So our
100%.
normal rule of thumb is small lot,
Yeah.
small house.
Yeah, yeah, that's correct.
If your contention is that the numbers we have are wrong, then can you clear them up for us?
Yes, yes, sir, I will.
Hold on. You're saying that you're at 1.19 at the present time, and you'd like 1.33. So the properties that are to the north, because Mr. Brown is quite right, there's been a fairly recent official plan amendment that places increased emphasis on the compatibility of new proposals to the character of an area. So one of the ideas about the concerns about precedent is that what you're doing may not in fact be in keeping with the character of the area. You're disputing the numbers. Can you tell me?
I am.
Can you tell me what the floor space indexes are of the properties north of you?
But we have to be concerned about what constitutes the neighborhood and the area. We're not interested in the floor space index on Spadina or Albany or some other street. We're interested in maybe 1 or 2 blocks on Howland adjacent to this property.
Fair enough. Fair enough. So if we just go south of Wells, we will find a lot of houses with higher indexes. But this is not my only argument, Mr. Chair. Within the same block.
I didn't ask you to go south of Wells. I asked you to go north of the subject property.
Yes.
That's the group of houses that seem to have a similarity. That's the group of houses that the objectors referred to. I'd like to get a sense of comparison between what you're proposing and what exists on those houses relative to floor space index.
Yes, sir. So, first of all, 161 Howland shows on this list having a floor space index of 0.96, whereas in reality is 1.19.
Wow.
This should be an indication that the data they're providing is inaccurate.
Where did you get your 1.19?
Based on it's our building, sir.
Yeah, I understand that, but are you telling us that, or do you have some objective evidence that it's 1.19?
I have my drawings that were reviewed by the zoning examiner.
Yeah.
And they do indicate that the existing floor space index is 1.19.
So is that in our material?
Yes, it is. The drawings submitted.
So that basically goes against because the chart of the block between 160 and 202 that's been submitted by Mr. Brown.
That's one item that shows that.
Barry Glassville shows that your FSI is not 1.19, but it's 0.97.
For example, that's one of them.
So is that because you did some work and this is out of date?
No, Mr. Chair.
Why is it?
It's because the data is outdated. Maybe this was based on data that was provided.
I just asked you, is it outdated? And you said, no, it's not.
Pardon me, I don't understand your question, Mr. Chair.
Well, it says on that list, it says 0.97. You're telling us it's 1.19. I'm asking you, are they using an outdated list? And you said no.
Sorry, Mr. Chair. Yes, the data they are presenting is outdated.
How old is it?
I have no idea.
These houses all haven't changed. There is a clear pattern. So actually, the argument actually makes things worse for you because now you're not increasing from 1.19 to 1.31. You're actually increasing based on their data from 0.97.
Quite the opposite. That's the opposite of what I'm saying. I'm saying that the data they're presenting shows that our house is 0.96 floor space index, whereas in reality is 1.19. That shows that their data is not correct. And I have other properties that also have higher floor space index than what they're showing.
Yeah, but not in the area that...
It is in the same area.
All right, tell us which ones.
I'm looking at the...
And where did you get your information from? I don't think Mr. Glassville made this list up. It looks like he printed it off something. It's perhaps...
Yeah, I'm definitely not saying he made it up. I'm just saying that the data in it is outdated or inaccurate.
The annex ratepayers, I assume that's where Mr. Glassville was able to get it through Mr. Brown and the other people at the annex ratepayers. They're here all the time. They're very astute. They know these numbers. So, you have to come in and show us something other than to say, but I'm saying either way, you're still looking to go to 1.31, whether you're going from 1.19, which you could say, well, we're already way over, as opposed to you're just at 0.97, which is less. So I don't see how You're still looking to go to 1.31 either way, whatever you're going for.
1.33, yeah.
1.33, and you should know because you know how much you're adding, and if it's from 90, if they're right, then maybe you're really only going to 1.2 because you're adding only a certain amount, right? I assume what you're telling us you're adding is 1.19 to 1.31, you're adding 22.22, right? That's
No, Mr. Clark, through you, Mr. Chair.
Sorry, 12. You're only adding 0.12. If
Yeah,
what
no.
you're saying is right, if what they're saying is right, you're adding a lot more. So you know how much you're adding.
I know what I already have
Size
as
of
well.
your addition.
I have engineered drawings for the existing layout which show that our floor space index is higher than what they are claiming, the existing.
Okay.
Okay, would you like me to tell you about other properties as well?
Yes, please, quick.
Okay. If this is going to be a convincing argument, if you're convinced that I am not...
What you gave us your presentation, they spoke. What you're now supposed to be speaking on is rebutting what they say, not giving us any new information, but just responding to what these four gentlemen
Yes.
told us.
So, okay, again, so I just tried to explain to you why this report that was submitted should be completely dismissed because it has information that is outdated, and I have the evidence for it. And
show us.
Your Schedule D doesn't give any proximate properties, so I don't know why you ignored those. I could see if you gave us those plus the others that are further away, but why did either you or your client provide us with that Schedule D, not showing the close properties?
Okay, so when you say not close, you mean to say they have to be on the north block, the area that they selected, right? You're not satisfied with us taking another block on Howland?
No, that's fine, but that's the most...
But let's go back.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
What Mr. Brown introduced, quite rightly, is that the city has seen fit to amend its official plan to talk about the impact of properties on their neighborhood.
Yeah.
The most immediate neighborhood here is that block of houses on Howland. I'm trying to get simple answer of how does your proposal of, regardless of what the number is, 1.13 or 1.33 is large. What I would like to know is how does that compare to what the floor space index is of those other houses in that block? Because the information that was raised during the debate that I think is valid
Yes.
is that your floor space index is likely to be higher because you have a very small piece of property.
Yes, that's true.
Other pieces of property are very long.
Yes.
The concern is precedent. So if you were to be successful in getting a much higher floor space index, now apply it to 4 properties to the north, that's a massive house. That's what these people are here to prevent.
Yes. Okay, so.
Yeah, we could see it's a much shorter lot. Assuming it was half the size, then it would be exactly double. If you were coming in at 1.33, then if you were on the bigger lot, that same house would be...
Yeah, it'll be divided by 2, exactly. Yeah.
I mean, it's, yeah.
That's why it's difficult for us, to build something. But however, we're not setting any precedents. Even if you exclude the south block, so-called, or if you exclude the houses on the other streets other than Howland, there are still houses that have a higher space index. We shouldn't even exclude apartment buildings because the zoning bylaw permits 5. Okay.
You have to compare apples to apples, right?
But the zoning bylaw allows an apartment building on the same block.
You don't have an apartment.
The official plan is the larger of the 2 documents.
Yes.
The official plan is from where the bylaw gets its information. The official plan has stated that context with the neighborhood is of prime importance in reviewing applications. This is a very major official plan amendment.
Okay.
So what we're trying to do is to come to some determination of whether or not what you wish to do is precedent setting in a negative way.
Okay,
That's
so
all I'm trying to figure out.
Okay, Mr. Like this is what I'm trying to relay. Obviously, I'm not able to relay the message, but if we were actually setting any precedents, the planning department would have pointed that out. They had no concerns even in the original application when we were trying to get a 4-plex in place. We are not setting precedent, and we submitted evidence showing the comparables very close to the property within 500 meters radius that have a much higher floor space index.
Well, show us which ones they are. You keep talking about it, but you haven't shown us.
Yes, sir, I have it here. In the same report submitted by my client, the same findings are listed on page number 7.
Oh, you're the same Schedule D that we were talking about?
Yeah.
Okay, are some of these the ones on Bathurst, are these apartment buildings?
Okay, let's exempt those.
It's not, I could appreciate if you were able to go and find 10 properties, some of them may be apartments, some of them may be similarly houses on small lots.
Yeah.
But the general prevailing character, as we've heard, which is what we have to look at, was a much lower FSI. And the reason it's higher is because the lot is small. Small lot, small house. If you went to buy a house on the market today, you look at the lot size, you pay based on the size of the lot and the size of the house.
Okay.
You know? So
Okay, because they selected a very small
I can't believe
area.
you don't have any other variances either. Can't believe you don't have because the building takes up so much of the lot. How you don't have a rear yard setback is beyond me.
We have a zoning.
Especially since these houses were built predate the bylaws. So often in many of our applications, whether they're from something really minor, they identify side yard setbacks because when the house was built, there was no side yard requirement. So even though it's an existing condition, it shows up on the property review and you're only coming in with one being FSI. And we know why, because the lot is small.
And that's verified by the zoning examiner, by the way. We didn't submit a waiver. And we have recessed the addition. So the addition complies with all setbacks.
To Mr. Clark's point, can you show me, possibly on your phone through Google, can you show me where 77 Howland is? Can you show me where 21 Howland is?
For sure.
I don't see where HP Mary McDonald has signed off on this.
Those two properties in Howland are a long way away, in my view, unless I made a mistake.
Yeah, they're 21, is it blue?
Madam Secretary, just has HPS been satisfied? Because I see back in September, they had a letter that
There's an email from Ann Fisher.
talk about this as,
And they were to
single
ask.
door and a window and certain features and the first auditor of Ontario and all of that stuff. I don't see that that's
There's an email
either.
from Ann Fisher.
Yes.
who's the program manager for Heritage.
77, right?
Recommending a condition of approval.
And where's the subject property?
That was in December.
Okay. And is that a house or an apartment?
This one?
Yep.
It's a house.
Is it?
It's a house.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh, here it is. Okay, she's okay. That was, first email was December.
That one you say is 1.09.
Proposed or actual? Pardon? I can't find that thing anymore. Maybe I gave it to Mike. Here, you gave me your big one.
77 is 1.09, yes. Like that, the list that you have in front of you, like 6 or 8 properties. 10 properties, yeah. This was like filtered, like I even have a much larger.
That's fine, let's just.
Yeah, you're okay with that, yeah.
This is existing properties, as built.
It's existing or approved by committee. Those are variances approved by committee. So the floor space index was approved by this committee here for all of those properties.
Can you show me 21 Howland?
Yes.
And is it a house or an apartment?
So this is 21 Howland, and this is Wells right here. So this is where we are located. I don't know if you can see it clearly. I hope so. And this is the building. So it's a building pretty much similar to ours.
And that's 1.52.
Let me confirm that, please. 7. That's correct, 1.52 floor space index.
Or they're on Bathurst, first of all, anyway, so they're not this, by being on Bathurst, which is a different type of a neighborhood street to start with. I wouldn't consider the Bathurst ones to be comparables.
Let's exempt those.
Closest thing is the immediate neighborhood, then you
Yes,
go
let's exempt
farther.
those, yeah.
The immediate neighborhood is 160 going north.
Or south, right? Like, why do we have to go north only? We're pretty much on the south part of the block.
But you're on a short lot.
We are on a short lot. I acknowledge that.
Short
Yes.
lot,
This is why we're asking for variance. Yeah.
Right, but the variance is well out of, in terms of and we can say, we don't rely on precedent, we look at every application on its merits, which is true, but applicants still come in and bring us the same type of statistics that the annex ratepayers, that Mr. Brown, that you're bringing us, so these things do get used. Maybe there's a story behind,
Yeah, but I just showed you evidence that the data they provided is outdated. Yeah.
You said that we do not want to create a negative precedent.
Yes.
Which is why
What I'm saying is we're not setting any precedents here. We are not. You have evidence showing that this committee has approved variances even higher than what we're requesting. We are only requesting one variance. We eliminated all other variances. We satisfied planning and heritage. All the claims that they provided are dismissible. The shadows that they're concerned about the fence has no impact whatsoever on the study or the selected timings. I don't know if you want to hear about that. Like, shadow is not an aspect that, I don't know if you want to address that, but definitely we can talk about it. So to summarize, we have to go back to the 4 tests. That's what we need. So does the proposal maintain the general intent of the and the purpose of the official plan? It certainly does. There is improvement, intensification, are all aspects that the official plan encourages. We're not changing the zoning bylaw here. We're not requesting anything of that sort. And does the proposal maintain the general intent and purpose of the zoning bylaw? We're asking for one single line.
Mr. Khadr, we've given you 4 times as much time as we promised you. So we'll take this into committee now.
Thank you very much.
Deal with it.
These are a long way away. Yeah, these 2 are relevant. Even
if the applicant showed us a similarly sized house and a similarly sized lot, residential, not high-rise, not apartment, those are different animals, and I think based on it's certainly not minor, it's not compatible with the immediate neighborhood under 6 OPA 320. It just doesn't, I just can't see myself supporting this. And it does because as you see people come in with precedents and.
Well, I'm concerned with applying this to this other
property. Right.
Sure.
I'll make a motion to refuse the application. I think we've done a good presentation. We can agree to disagree, but in my mind, it's not minor. It doesn't meet the intent of the zoning bylaw, OPA 320. I agree. I believe it does set a dangerous precedent because the lot is small. It's half the size, approximately, maybe a little more, than the properties on the north. And although there are no other variances, and I'm quite surprised that there aren't some other variances, I can't see myself being able to support this. I don't feel it meets the 4 tests at all, and it's not minor.
We have a second. I'd second the motion. I also don't think it meets the intent and purpose of the official plan, and I'm very concerned were this to get approval and we were to apply this as a precedent to the properties to the north
favor of the application? Application.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so, we have
Other business? or-
other business. Okay, so we have.
I guess
a
I don't have
letter.
to tell you to fill out those. I guess you already have. Fill out the decision request cards.
All right, we have a letter with respect to 28 Harwood. They say they made an application to the committee for changes to the deck that were built contrary to a previous committee decision. Got concerns from planning staff. The hearing was deferred before the committee date, and notices were sent out. We made the required changes for planning staff, and the zoning examiner found we complied with the existing committee of adjustment decision. They issued the revision to the building permit, and they want their money refunded minus a standard $100 fee. But, so, Madam Deputy Secretary Treasurer, so the hearing was actually deferred?
Through Mr. Chair, we had scheduled the application for hearing on January 23rd, and we sent out the notices for that hearing. The applicants were advised that that was going to be their hearing date, and then when they received their notice in the mail, they had been working on the application unbeknownst to our office and said that they no longer required the variances, and we had pulled the item off the agenda before it was generated.
Staff did the work.
The policy is that if a notice is sent, they're not entitled to a refund. But
And the
they
notice
never
was not just
actually-
sent, it was sent to the neighbors as well.
It was.
So you probably had it circulate that the application has been withdrawn, or even really have to do extra work.
Don't know if we sent a.
What happens if people just then show up and thinking that the application is still a live application? Instead of giving them a refund, you should charge them more for having to communicate to the neighbors that the application is.
Don't know if we sent a cancellation notice or not.
But, Mr. Chairman, even if we hadn't, it seems to me
The work was
that
done.
The staff did the work.
Yeah, that's always what we
The-
use.
The cost was incurred,
Mhm.
and I don't think that the request for a refund is valid. I would recommend against it.
I'll second that.
Yeah, and if there was any mistakes made by the city, certainly wasn't made by the Committee of Adjustment staff, so. All in favor of refusing the refund?
Okay.
Refused.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Are we adjourned?
Adjourned at
5:08?
5:08 and a half.